Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners meeting of April 23rd, 2019. I would like to remind everyone to please silence their electronic devices at this time. And I would like to ask that we all stand at this time for the invocation and pledge.
Please bow your heads. O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here.
Thank you.
Now's the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any item before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment items placed on a future board agendas or other business under their purview. Public comment for public hearing items are taking with those individual public hearings beginning at 1:30 p.m. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer will start on the podium, will start on the countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound and the light on the timer will change from green to yellow, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After the time is up, 2 beeps will sound, the light will change from yellow to red, indicating 3 minutes are up and you have to closing comments. Okay, the people signed up.
We have 3 people signed up in this order: Ahmed, Diane Kobernick, and then Alan Rose. So if you could come forward. Thank you. Ahmed, go ahead and speak first. Thank you, sir. Please name and address for the record.
Alex from GG Car. Address is 5102 Mile Stretch Drive, Holiday, Florida. I will start my 3 minutes. GG Car is related for good idea and good impression, which is GIGI. First of all, I want to thank you 2 times for the effort you done to make my city distinctive and wonderful. Also can see big palm tree and the special landscape in my way to tell me that I am arrived. Second, I like to thank you also to give me a chance to join this great meeting for 3 minutes. I had 3 points in that 3 minutes. I want to finish it all. But we will talk about who we are and what we do and what we target. Who we are, GG Car is a business to help low-income people to get a good car with an affordable price so she or he can earn a job or save the job. We are doing our best to help kids, mom and dads to have a car to go places safe and easy. Student to go his school and had a part-time job for delivery. You to start his first small business without loan stress. We are not a buy here, pay here business. We selling car for cash, no interest, no extra fees or high cost insurance. We are not a flip places. We give warranty 1 to 3 years for the cars we sold. We are not a car renter or lease. The buyer owns his car. We are a private transportation community support. Example for what we're doing.
Go ahead, you have another
You have
minute.
1 minute left.
Okay, a $1,500 car, it can be returned with a 500 pack, and the cost for the monthly and daily, it will be like $2.08 for each day. We do what we do. GG Car had a training program to help people to get new job in our business. and found somewhere else. And what we target to save American cars from the junkyard. That mean limiting for importing foreigner cars, save our country resources, export scrap metal. In fact, it's backdoor to get the American high-quality steel out. The biggest help to the environment to limit the increasing for the cars and also the junkyards. I wish my Gigi got your support and help to keep it going forward.
Thank you, and I
time
think
is up.
we have a meeting tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If you would like, I have a presentation. Print out.
Move to receive and file?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second to receive.
That's okay, we're gonna be
All those in
together.
favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My
Good
name is Diane Kobernick. I live at 5001 South Shore. I also am a member of Gulf Harbors United. Mr. Dan Biles, having read the recent audits of several of Pasco County departments, it appears that what we've been saying and asking for the last few years to be confirmed. Policies and procedures need to be reviewed and in place so that Pasco County staff have well-written directions to perform their jobs consistently and efficiently. Without such policies, it is too tempting for the staff to stray or to be directed to do so. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Mr. Rose?
Good morning. Alan Rose, 10221 Hilltop Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. And I have a presentation for the board, so if I can.
Motion.
Move to receive and file. Second.
Got a motion to receive and file and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Yes, sir.
I'll take it.
There we go. This is just because I haven't quite gotten started on the Restore Committee yet, and I just want to keep things online with certain areas that we need help in. And Green Key is an area that we continuously have problems with flooding and whatnot. And I brought to you to present to your engineers, because I know they're probably already thinking about this, if not already started doing this. Excuse me. The simplest way to decrease the flooding and increase the viability of the area is a simple dredging project. This is a low-key one. Cross Bayou and Oyster Creek have filled up with sedimentation over the years. So the water doesn't flow from 19 to the coast. It doesn't exit the way it should. And the simplest way to do it would be to dredge these two waterways that already exist that have just not had the proper maintenance. We go in there with a little maintenance dredging. I recommended a 5-foot depth, 100-foot width, and take the spoils from this area to Green Key. There's an area in Green Key where the boat ramps are, between just to the west of the boat ramps is where you want to fill in there. You designate that as a fill area. Take those spoils, fill that in, create a nice parking area for the park. And in the future, as the Restore Committee gets to do things, if they consider creating beaches, we will wrap Green Key with beautiful sandy beaches with properly done so that there's proper drainage, and it will increase, again, the tourism will love it. People will all get a place to enjoy what we have here. And I just know that we have an issue with the flooding in that area, and this could probably help in a quick way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that was the last person I had signed up. Does anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time? Seeing none. The next order of business will be consent agenda, and I have 4 items pulled. C46, pull and revise. C47, withdrawn. C8, pull and revise. And C11, withdrawn. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to consent Second. agenda.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. First item we will look at is C46.
Good morning, Commissioner. Bramford Adumwa, Director of Public Works. For item 4, C46, attachment C of the agreement is the project schedule. Attachment B is the cost summary. Therefore, paragraph 4.1 now reads in accordance with attachment B.
Move approval with the noted changes. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve with the changes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Next item, C47, is withdrawn. Next item is C8, full and revised.
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Esther Oluyemi.
Morning.
My name is Esther Oluyemi, building official for Building Construction Services. We pulled C8 to revise it to correct the typo for the money from $203,277 to $203,227. This is for the renewal of their cellar automation licenses. Every other thing remained the same.
Move for approval as revised. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Got a question?
So the note I have is that they're not certain it's still correct. Can you approve it with the clerk having review first?
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. We'll move on to our regular items. I'll get there. R1.
That's our update from the EDC.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you? I'm Joanna Colbert-Williams, Vice President for the Pasco Economic Development Council. Typically, you have our President, Bill Cronin, here, but I am going to give the update this morning.
We like you better.
I will pass that along.
I don't think you need to pass that along.
Is he still in Japan? Is he over there trying to make us bring some companies here? He's fine.
Yes, he has been
Okay.
busy in Japan. He'll have an update for you, I'm sure. No. He just got back, but he'll definitely have a update for you. So no, he is back. And so we'll start off first with our MOU. This is, as you can see, a photo from the wonderful groundbreaking with Touchpoint, and we'll see a video in a few moments. Year-to-date pipeline, we've had 50 inquiries, 16 leads, 24 projects, and 6 successes for this fiscal year. You can see a breakdown of the active projects. A slideshow ago, I told you the number of projects we received, but this is a slideshow of all of our active projects currently by industry. This explains the breakdown of the projects that has been successful in our community. 6 projects, 101 new jobs, and a capital investment of $23,950,000. Concerning business retention and expansion, our goal is to have 90 visits. We've completed 14 at the end of the second quarter. Obviously, our quarter ends March 31st, so since then, we've increased those numbers. But we've had everything else in terms of the information, compiling information on the existing industry visits and gathering and tracking data that is currently in progress, and that'll be reported at the end of the fiscal year. The talent and workforce, we've completed working with some companies to, our goal is 10, and we've completed 2 this fiscal year, but this current quarter, we've had, as you can see, we're still working on that, we've had 0. Introduce local manufacturers to AM Skills. We're always looking to do that. We've done 3 year to date. And we've helped 9 companies in terms of helping with their workforce pipeline and conduct the annual workforce survey. That just went out a couple weeks ago, and we're compiling that information right now. So when we receive that information back, we provide a report and we send it out to the companies who have participated in the survey, as well as we hand it out to other businesses, and each of you will get one as well once that report is completed. We've conducted joint calls with CareerSource and PHSC, 2 visits this quarter, and connected business. And it's hard, I want to stop there, because we have to align our schedules to get with one another, and some of the companies they've already visited, we may visit, and so we really do want to partner with them, and our goal is 12, and we've had 2. Connect businesses with career planning centers at colleges and universities. We've made 4 connections, and we partner with workforce training providers. We've had 8 meetings. Actually, we've exceeded that goal as of right now. Our goal was 4, and we've had 8. We've been busy with events. We've had 22 events, and you can see the list there. I won't read it, but if you have some questions, please let me know. We've attended 7 business development conferences and market missions, and what that means is that we've went and visited with consultants or industry leaders in particular industries or conferences, and then we've also done trips to visit with consultants that represent those companies as well as companies directly. We've presented 9 times. Typically, that is in the local community, as you can see. Very few is outside of the community, but we're always trying to get the word out locally. So you'll see we've done 9. There's a few things on the horizon. We are definitely looking to be more attractive worldwide and trying to obtain information, news-wise coverage nationally. And so Lauren has been working on that. We've just signed a contract with a company to be able to track coverage from our community and digital blogs and television and radio, as you can see there. So by the next meeting or in between there, if you have questions, please let us know. We'll have some additional information to share. Social media is continuing to increase. We're always monitoring that and really trying to get the word out about our organization and the community. And press release database, the ability to target writers who have covered similar stories. So we just really want to be able to better track where our name is being mentioned and our community's name is being mentioned, and where we can leverage other things that are going on in the area that are really relatable to what's going on in our community. Highlights a little bit more of the social media, the number of people we've reached, post engagements, and the number of clicks. You know, it's hard to get people to click through things, so we really try to make it interesting. And then our Cup of News, that goes out every Monday, and we have a little over 2,300 subscribers. And we have a 20% open rate, but from my understanding, that open rate is pretty good. Obviously, we would like it to be higher, but 20% is a number that we're happy to report. And here's where the money comes in. We have a little bit of an increase. We have 84 total investors. We have a goal, obviously, of $481,000, and we're at $298,500. We have a couple new board members we're happy to report. Well-Built, North Tampa Bay Hospital, and we have 33 board members, 4 ex officios, and again, the additional new investors that are not at board level, but they're still happy to report their investing, is Holiday Inn and Rosetta and Company. And we have a couple of new things we want to update you on. We have a new manager. As you know, Devin left our organization back in December, and we've hired a new economic development manager. Her name is Jenny Semur. We have 2 task force is underway, the IDA task force and the food hub. And we have something really exciting underway, is the partnership with Smart Start and IFAS, and UF is the Community Garden Commercial Kitchen, and right outside of Dade City. Oh, that was important. Let me go back. Can I go back? Or, oh, there we go. So our strategic plan is going to be underway here in a few short months. We're going to start actually this, probably next month, because we'll have to have the new strategic plan in place by the new fiscal year. So just be aware that that is upcoming, and I'm sure you'll hear more about that. And a couple events that's open to the public. So everyone that's here, we have a brown bag lunch and learn. That's Tuesday, June 4th. We alternate the locations of those brown bag lunches, and that's really just to give the community an opportunity to hear more about what the Pasco EDC does. And that one will be at West Pasco Entrepreneur Center. And then we have our annual awards and trade show coming up in September. And with that, this is the video for Touchpoint. It was a wonderful event, and hopefully it's reflected well in the video so you can feel like you were there if you were not able to make it.
On behalf of Touchpoint Medical, I'd like to welcome you to the future global headquarters of Touchpoint Medical.
Today is a big and beautiful day for Touchpoint and Touchpoint Medical.
You're all invited to celebrate this event with us today because you are very important to us. Your contribution and belief in our company has helped us to get where we are.
This is one of those milestones that we talk about when a company decides to locate here. It starts off with the announcement, and then the groundbreaking, then the ribbon cutting, and then my favorite is the Help Wanted sign.
So today you're going to hear some remarks from Brian McNeil, our CEO of Touchpoint Inc., as well as Pascal Teste, our president of Touchpoint Medical, Mike Wells, the District 4 County Commissioner, as well as Bill Cronin, the president of the Pasco EDC.
You know, our community recognizes that there's nothing more important to a company's success than its workforce. And I can tell you, I've been to a lot of these over the last 4 years, and I have never seen the workforce be here like they are today.
The investment that we're making here in Pasco County, Florida, is an example of our long-term commitment to our business, to our people, and to the communities in which we work and live.
DPR, here represented by Brian Robbins, is now prepared to start the construction. So Brian, it's all yours now.
And we know too, though, that when you export those products, it's global. You're going to be sending out these carts all over the world, and you're going to be not only representing Touchpoint Medical, you're going to be representing Pasco and the people of Pasco, and for that, we are so proud, and we hope that in time you become just as proud of us and our community as we are of you.
So when I saw all of the team from Touchpoint walk up today, it's awesome. That's what it's about is your people. He gets it. Obviously, you all get it. We're very excited to have you up here in Pasco County.
So let me reveal the latest rendering and picture of our upcoming global Touchpoint Medical headquarters. Ta-ta-ta.
Great day in Pasco. We thank you for making the decision to move here and your continued growth, and God bless each and every one of you.
And thank you again, Commissioners, for your support of that project. As you can see, that will be a great benefit to our community, and they are definitely building. They're starting to build. The land is cleared, and if you ride past the area, you'll definitely see movement out there. With that, I'll go into our Penny for Pasco overview. In the essence of time, would you like for me just to do the overview, or do you want me to do all the slides? I don't know how we...
I think we have time. We have
Okay,
time.
great, okay. So this is an opening for a picture from the Panama trip, one of the most recent international trips. And we do partner with Global Tampa Bay on that. And they were at the Panama Canal, as you can see in the background. And you'll see a C by each one. That means the goal has been completed. IP means it's in progress, and P is pending, and IC means incomplete. So this is the quick summary, and then we'll go in a little bit more detail in the following slides. But in terms of ready sites for Q2, we have evaluated 103 acres at the Softwind Industrial Park. 4 sites are actively being marketed, and then there's one that we are looking to assess to see if they're able to go through the program. International program, I recently just showed you the photo of Global Tampa Bay and Pasco EDC at the Panama Trade Mission. And then the Pasco Columbia FDI mission, that was also in this quarter. And then the CEO Roundtable, we held a forum in October. We are going to be planning a second forum, which will be focused on leadership in Q3. And then we are still actively recruiting and marketing for the CEO Roundtable program, where CEOs get together on a monthly basis to talk about best practices and learn things that they can take back and infuse immediately into their company. So if you know anyone, please pass them along. And enhanced marketing. We have done a lot of things in terms of branding and making sure our materials look nice and cohesive and the information is there. We are in the process, actually it was just completed, we redesigned our Ready Sites flyers and actively marketing that. Our international digital media marketing campaign is underway. And then we have a couple new market reports underway. So we call those snapshots, and those basically focus on the industries and the benefits of those industries in our community, and in a nice marketing piece. And then Smart Start, we're implementing our marketing efforts there. We know it's all about marketing, getting the word out. So we're continuously working on that, getting the word out about Smart Start. We had 1 microloan application. And then we are transitioning, actually we've pretty much transitioned from downtown Dade City to the Stallings building. Our branding is going up currently in that building. We're marketing it, and hopefully we'll be able to check it out soon. And then in terms of the Pasco pipeline, we did hire a company to do the website. And so they're in the process of doing that, and we've been reviewing information to make sure aesthetically it looks good and the information is there. So that'll be underway for the next few months. Then we have the Pasco Pipeline Advisory Committee that is meeting regularly to have great input as to which direction and how we are going to market and promote the Pasco pipeline. And then the Pasco 50 event is planned for July 16th. We're going to do one in August 13th. Last year we did 1 for the whole county, but this year we thought we would do something different and have 2 in different parts of the county to hopefully get some additional companies to participate. And that's when they just get together and they talk about workforce, some things that is going well in the community, some things that are not going so well, and really just a forum where they can talk freely about the workforce in the community as being one of the 50 largest employers in Pasco County. And this goes in a little bit more detail. So I completed the summary. So now we're back to Ready Sites, and we'll go into detail a little bit more. You can let me know if you have any questions, but this just more specifically identifies the Ready Sites. We've evaluated 2 sites, or excuse me, the goal is to evaluate 2 sites, and we evaluated 1 so far this fiscal year. And we are, like I said, we're looking to have another one go through the process right now. And this is how we've been tracking the inquiries we get for the Ready Sites program.
And specifically, we are able to track that this quarter, we've had 3 related specifically to Ready Sites. And we've met with developers and representatives too to talk about the Ready Sites program. And then meetings with candidate owners have been 2. And hopefully from that, I think we have identified 1. And we went to the NAOP event. That is a conference where we're talking with developers and companies that are looking to develop new opportunities in areas. And so we talked about our Ready Sites program, and we have a display there. And NAOP stands for North American Industrial Office. I think P stands for profession, I believe. And then Site Selection Magazine, we had some marketing materials about the Ready Sites in there. And then in Expansion Solutions, and then our obviously our website is ongoing. So we're continuously updating that, and we're gonna put our new design marketing pieces on our website as well. And these magazines and these conferences are all specifically to industrial developers. We've had 14 inquiries, 8 presentations total, and 3 responses to RFPs. And what that means, within those RFPs that we've responded about our community, we've included Ready Sites in those responses. In total, we've had 4 evaluated sites. And as you can see, those are the 4 sites. FDI, that's important internationally. We have a goal of calling on 10 international site selection consultants. Into year to date, we've contacted 3. Our goal is to market and promote Pasco County internationally. Our goal is year to date, we've had 4 in 16 companies total. And those are the missions that we have been to, the locations. So we've been to Japan, Colombia, Japan. We've been there, but then in addition to going there, we've marketed in the communications that's specific to that area. So the Japan Times, the FDI Alliance magazine. So those are additional ways that we're getting the word out without actually being there. And then we have contracted with a consultant to help set appointments and help us identify potential companies that may have an interest in investing in Pasco County. And our goal is to do 1, and year to date, we have done 1. Those are 2. The next is the Japan mission and the Colombia mission. Our goal is 4, and we participated in 2, and that's about right because we're about halfway through our fiscal year. And then we've also partnered with 11 organizations in terms of marketing, promoting, and just brainstorming on ways we can do things better. The goal is 60. We've assisted 1 company with the export marketing discovery. Actually, as of today, it's been 2, but you'll get the update next quarter. We've provided export counseling services to companies. That's part of our BRE program. So when we're going out talking with companies, we're talking about their appetite for exporting, getting them interested in doing exporting. And so we've had 15 of those counseling sessions.
And we have conducted 2 joint visits. And year to date,
we have disseminated 5 international business opportunities through media channels, and our goal is 12. A lot of international things going on. So year to date, 2 missions. We've been to Panama and Chile, and 5 companies. We're happy to report that we have had 5 companies interested in going with us. Either they've shown interest and for some reason they could not attend, or they actually have attended. And so those companies, as you can see, there are Big Storm, Polaris, Arete, FarmerWorks, and Adams Arms. And then we have participated in trade-related international things, 3 year to date. The goal is 8. And then the SUS Japan is the International Workshop Forum. So we could try to leverage our resources. So if we're in Japan for a reason and there's other things going on related to international, we're going to try to attend those events because we're already over there. The pipeline program. So we are continuously, even though you don't actually see a website yet, a lot of things are going on behind the scenes. And we're having our meetings, we're gathering information, we're cataloging information, so that's continuous. We are working with companies to gauge interest and to really get them to agree to participate in the program. So all of those things are ongoing, and that includes all 3 bullet points. Again, a lot of data is continuously being gathered in order to execute this website and the program. Identifying opportunities to support dropouts, ex-offenders and veterans, and re-entry points. Everyone wants to know, how can I get in a certain area, which industry, which companies. So all that information and data gathering is going on. We're continuously tracking the local hires from existing companies. So when Turner and Jenny are going out to companies, these are the types of questions that they're asking and getting information on. And developing the website, that'll be ongoing. And that started back in March. We just hired the company, so that's still in the early stages. And these are things we're going to continue to do to track the interest in the website, and so when people log on or access it, we'll be able to track it. So that's ongoing, and that has not started yet. Conduct the annual workforce survey. I just talked about that. We did do that, and those results will be in. And then the focus groups are upcoming. We talked about CEO roundtables. This kind of gives you a visual on that. But our next one, again, is going to be the leadership forum. Marketing. We have 3 market reports already. We have 2 in the works. And we're continuing to expand upon and make some of the materials that we already have look a little better. Co-starters that we already renewed our co-starter license. We are trying to still recruit companies and owners to be a part of the co-starters program. And what that means is that we need speakers that actually are coherent in HR and benefits and anything related to accounting, insurance. So we're always looking for companies or speakers for those areas. And the goal in terms of the last bullet point, attendees, the goal is 30. Year to date, we've had 5. So it's really about marketing and really getting the word out about co-starters, because it is a great program, but they have to know about it. So we're continuously doing that. We've held 26 workshops to date, and the goal is 100. And individual council sessions, our goal is 300. Year to date, we have 208, so we're definitely busy there. And then hosting roundtables with PIN partners, that is complete, and the year isn't over. Our goal is 2, and we've had 2. The incubators, again, we have 2 incubators in the county, and the goal is to continuously get interest in on-site and off-site. We've had education events. We've had 50. Our goal is 50. That's completed. And then events, again, we're continuing to host events and get people interested there. So our goal is to have a marketing outreach and events, incubator marketing, and these are some of the ways that we have done that. Marchman, Leadership, Pasco, I won't read all of those, but those are some of the things that we've attended in order to get the word out about the Smart Start Incubator program. And this is the makeup of our members right now. We have 7 on-site members and 3 off-site members. In total, we have created 175 jobs with those companies. Microloan. Our goal is to close 3 new loans every year. And year to date, we have had 3, which is a good thing. In quarter 2, we had 1. We are continuously looking to increase the donations. And so far, we have raised $20,000 and looking to raise more. And then we just renewed the loan servicing software that we use. And I will will stop there if you have any questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I have a question.
Okay.
Just speaking on the out-of-state trade shows, missions.
Yes.
Whatever type of events that you may go to. Talk to me about measurables. Like, how do you measure success on those? Because I just think back to myself when I had my own companies and we would go to trade shows and typically, after 2 or 3 and I didn't see a return on my investment, I stopped going.
Okay.
So yeah, just tell me about how do you measure the success?
Absolutely, that's a good question. So after every trip, some things are trial and error. Some things we've never been to,
Sure.
and we try it out. Some things we have been to, and if we feel that we've gotten some leads or projects out of it, then we'll say, hey, that's something we probably should budget for next year.
Right.
So after each mission trip, we come back and we do it's a spreadsheet we put together. Where did we go? How many leads did we receive? How much was it? So we're tracking how much things are. When did we go? Did we receive anything from it? And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. But we are tracking it because that helps us next year. Typically, we don't do the same markets more than once a year, so we won't really address that until the following year if we should go back or not. So we do look at measurables, how many projects we received from it, how many leads, and if we felt we could have did anything different, if we thought it was a good show or event, but we really didn't get out of it what we thought we should have, what could we do differently next year to better prepare for it? And so yes, we are consistently looking at, we have to fill out this spreadsheet to kind of recap the event and what we received from it.
So if you go to the same trade show, let's say 3 times, and you may have leads, but you never actually got somebody to come to Pasco County or sort of business Pasco. Do you typically stop going to that trade show?
Correct. Yes, we probably won't do that again.
Yeah.
And 3 is probably a lot. I think we're twice, so we did make some changes. I know, like Bill's.
But typically took twice, then
Yes.
it's kind of your cutoff?
Yes,
Yeah.
locally. Now, internationally is a little different.
Yeah, so
You
talk
have
to me about internationally then. What do you?
Internationally, you have to build international people are a little bit different. And they like to build relationships and see you over and over, and that you're invested in them as much as they would be invested in you. So international is a little bit different, but domestically, typically after twice, if we feel we haven't really got anything that's worth much, we won't go back.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
yes.
Maybe I missed it, but was Select USA on there, and are we going back to that in June?
Select USA was not on there because it's in June, so we haven't reported on that yet. So
Okay.
yes, we are going to Select USA.
All right, and as you know, one of the committees I started when I started the international program was to bring CEOs together that deal with international business, and we recently got together, and I was asked by those CEOs if we would put on another Growing Global, and I don't think you were here when we started when we did those. We did 2, but it's a half-day workshop where we bring in Enterprise Florida and Small Business Development and lawyers and accountants who deal with overseas, international contracting and freight forwarding and all that. And so I'd like to get with Jenny or whomever to look at maybe doing another one of those for our companies in Pasco County.
Absolutely.
And we had standing room only at the last 2. I think you went to some of those, Commissioner Mariano. So I don't think we have enough companies looking at international as part of their market, and so this is a way to help bring out those companies.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
I'd like to work with you all on getting one of those scheduled maybe in the early fall.
Okay, and I did note that, so yes.
Okay. Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The past year, they had passed the U.S. Farm Bill, and in it, they freed up low THC hemp as far as an agricultural product. And it's going through the state legislature right now. And the bill that's with Representative Masula right now is a very good bill that kind of frees up people to actually grow it, produce it, et cetera. And I think it's going to be a huge market. Some of these companies have spent millions of dollars in machines They can make plastics, they can make textile products, et cetera. I was looking at a Facebook post just the other day, and it showed one company that was up in Virginia and said, if you guys don't get behind us and support us, we're going to look to go somewhere else that will get behind us and support us. So have you guys been to a conference as such? Have you looked at that in any way at all?
So we have not been into any conferences specifically for hemp, but I think hemp has been ingrained in some of the conferences that we have been to in one capacity or another. We would just have to talk about that and see if that's something that the community wanted us to pursue and what assets we have in order to be attracted to that sort of industry. I think that deserves definitely a conversation and to see, but it has not been something we have specifically targeted.
Yeah, and I talked to Mr. Cronin about it a while ago, and he wasn't sure if it was quite enough as far as the manufacturing level, but I think from all that I'm seeing, the way this legislation is going to go, Florida is going to be the best position to actually grow it. California, they can't grow it because they have marijuana where you can get high. There's stuff you can't get high from.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a hemp plant next to a marijuana plant, it's going to take away all the power of the THC from that, destroys it. So California's never going to be able to grow it. So we're in great position. We actually got 3 crops a year. No one else can get better than 2. It's an opportunity I think we need to look at for our agricultural industry.
Mm-hmm.
It'll lead for better manufacturing, and I think if we just go look at it, it may bring some opportunities that we want to consider that you could bring back to us to say, you know what, this does look something that's viable. But unless you get out there and go look at it, they're not going to know we're even here or that we even care. Okay. And they're going to be looking for where they want to locate this industry coming forward. Once the rules are set, after the state passes whatever they pass, it's going to create a market. So those who's going to get in the market first can be a leader. So I think it's something we should take a look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Very good job. Thank you. R2 we have on a time certain at 11:45, so we'll move on to R3.
Good morning, Commissioner. Inza Caldwell, Public Works. We're presenting Oldgate Circle, PVAS number 3347, and this is in Commissioner Starkey's district. Back in 2017, the board had authorized temporary repairs to storm damaged roads, and as a condition of these temporary repairs, we were asked to bring back these projects as board-initiated project. We're here today to ask the board to direct us to, move forward with these projects. There are 4 roads located in this project. They're county maintained, paved, and the estimated cost is $489,883. The maximum cost per ERU is $5,523. The discounted amount is $99,970. And after the discount, the ERU is $4,394. This is a location map. This is off Seven Springs Boulevard. And we have a couple slides of the condition of the road, some serious base failure. And there's a base coming up through the existing cracks, and the temporary chip seal is shown here. We're asking the board to approve.
Any questions?
Well, I do have a question for
Yes.
you. How many more roads do we have? Because we crack sealed temporarily a bunch of them, and I want to make sure they're all coming through, because that was the plan when this board approved spending our oil spill money on those roads. So what?
Right. There are 7 projects still left. And
7?
We have 7 SEVNs. We have completed, and we have notified the associate commissioners that we are ready to move forward.
Yeah.
So they should be coming
Those
to the
need
board.
I mean, we should have done them a while ago, so I can't imagine. We're not going back in and redoing any of those, are we?
No, Commissioner.
There were
we're ready
none? Okay.
Sorry, we're ready to move forward.
All right, and I'd like to see a list of where those are.
I'll send you an email.
But I am definitely in support of this, and they got a reprieve. How many years ago did?
2017, 15, 16.
Yeah,
That's
so-
when they were done.
Is this a 10-year payout on this?
Yes.
10 or 15?
10.
10. Okay.
All right, but it is a public hearing, so I'm sure you have to take public comment.
No, this is
No, it's
not.
not a
No,
public
it's
hearing.
not?
No.
Move to approve.
Second, further discussion, though?
Go ahead.
I'm very concerned about the high price. You know, from the map, it looks like a very tightly wound community, so the lots don't seem to be that huge. Why is it $5,000? It sounds like an exorbitant amount of money.
It's
Prices
4,000,
are-
it's 4,000 now.
Well, 5,000, but we give the discount, it goes
Yeah.
down, but that's still a lot of money in front of a house.
Oh, I understand.
Prices are based on the competitive bid contracts. We had a requirements contract, and that is based on what the lowest bidder, the lowest responsive and, responsible bidder came back. So it's based on those numbers. Also, we're doing full depth reclamation. As you saw from the slides, there was base failure. The base is actually becoming a somewhat solid solution. It's upwelling through the existing cracks. So you have to ensure that we have a good solid base before we go back and pave. It's not just a matter of mill and repaving.
Yeah. So you actually go in and do some of the base work on that before you pave?
Full depth reclamation.
My
yes.
guess is most of these coming in are going to be the full-depth reclamation, because if you remember what those roads look like, they look like oatmeal after the rain. So when the big rains come, these roads are going to really fall apart again.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I agree it's the right way to do it, I agree it's the right thing. I'm just looking at the price, I'm thinking, if this was last year's bids, where would these numbers have fallen?
Sorry, if this was?
Between last year's bids to this year's bids, how much did this full depth reclamation go up?
Full depth reclamation came in under this new bid at about twice as much.
Twice as much?
Yes, sir.
That's how much paving's gone up?
Sorry?
Is it because paving has gone up?
Well, the component of the base repair went up about twice. But in terms of the actual asphalt, it went about 40%.
Okay.
I have a question. Are we able to put our ash into any of these, and would that lower the cost any? I see Mike's grabbing the mic.
I think this works, but Mike Carballa. The ash actually has limitations in terms of water levels, so I don't think that it would apply here.
Moisture's a problem.
Well, just trying to find a way to get that price down.
I understand.
Let me float one other idea. Is there any way, I know we've got the bid contract that went out there for paving assessment, but looking at this high as it is with the base going up twice as much, do you think it's worth maybe taking these at one by one and letting these go out for bid and let someone go bid on it?
We can.
I mean, I'm looking at Holiday Hills. If they try to come in with this number here, they're gonna go crazy. I mean, $5,000 for a road in front, and I know they're doing the base. I'm just saying, I just think it's a super high number.
But we did, the length of time is longer. Normally, it's 4 to 5 years, and this is a 10-year payback, so there's that. But did you mean, would it be cheaper? What?
10 or 15, not 5.
I thought normally we do 5 years.
This is a 10 or to be 15?
Yeah, this is a longer time. So, but wouldn't it be cheaper if we bundled all of the roads into a bid?
Which is what this contract represents. It's our annual paving, all bundled into one contract.
Yeah. And it's going up.
So, we're getting a discount for quantity on this contract.
Okay,
as
so they're gonna
opposed
be
to
doing
if you
all
just did this
the-
section, you wouldn't get that discount.
So this bid is not just for Old Gate, it's for all the ones that are coming?
It's for this year's contract, almost $20 million
Okay.
for program.
I missed that.
Program maintenance and PVACs.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it's the same contract we're using to do Little Road.
Is it something we could do to go just bid out a particular project one by one? Because I'm serious, at Holiday Hills, if you try to come in with $5,000, they're gonna go crazy. I mean, it's a tightly wound community. It's not like we've got a rural area. It just seems to be a lot of money. And if we think the bids went up twice as much as last year, then maybe we need to go relook at the bid.
Well, it wasn't twice as much, as about 30 or 40% on the paving, and then lime rock, I guess, what the cost. But we're in a growth period.
Yeah,
What do you attribute the higher cost to?
Well, I think the higher cost, first of all, may be due to asphalt, increase in liquid asphalt. You see oil prices have gone up significantly. Also, cost of material and labor has been going up. And also, the lowest bidder was high, but then the others too were high, so it's all over the country.
Right.
My concern is if we don't fix these roads, they will look like what they did in that last episode, and they will not be able to use their roads to get to their house.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, it's 11 o'clock, and we have a time certain on number 2, so we'll move on to old business. Mr. Moore?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me get my notes straight. That we went pretty quick, so. Just a couple things. First thing I wanted to do, and I know I shot an email out to Dan and Don, but I just wanted to recognize another staff member, Brad Tippin. And I think everybody knows Brad. He's a senior planner. I think he's your acting manager for review right now? Yeah. So just wanted to mention his name. He's just doing an excellent job when it comes to customer service, and we've had a few things that he's been involved with lately, and I tell you what, he's got skin of steel too. I've been sending a lot of people his way, and he's just so considerate and does a great job responding to constituents and citizens and helping them find answers, and he just does a great job. So I just want to recognize him. I really appreciate it when people will do a great job. And then David Goldstein too, in a similar situation, has been involved in something that's been going on in Central Pasco. So thank you for all your efforts and all you're doing, because I know you're getting the brunt of some of those emails too. But again, just like Brad, you're very considerate and very thorough in your responses, and I appreciate it. So, and I know the citizens do too. So it's not always the answer people want to hear, but at least they're dealing with people, in addition to myself, that obviously take the time to answer their questions thoroughly and tell them, hey, this is how it is with the Land Development Code, and we'll do what we can to help you, but we still have to follow the laws and the codes. So thank you all for that. A couple other things. Next, I went to and did a tour of the 56 extension last week with FDOT, Secretary Gwynn, and a few other staff members. It's coming along nicely. We won't talk about a date, but we will say that it's moving along very nicely, and if weather agrees, if the weather will agree, it'll probably come sooner than later. So it's looking really good. It's looking really good, and just commending. This has been worked on for quite some time. Commend staff for all their efforts, and our legislators, along with this commission, on doing something very, very unique to make that road happen. And I think you're going to start seeing that happen more and more across the nation, or the state, I should say, on how we went about making this road happen. Once you get landowners and developers involved in actually paying for it and giving the citizens that relief and not asking for additional taxpayer dollars, it's a good thing for all. So it's looking good. The relief it's going to bring to the citizens in the area along that are crabbing down 54 on a regular basis or 301, it's going to be night and day. So I can't wait for it to be open myself. I live very close to there, so it'd be nice. Last thing I wanted to bring up, two more things, sorry, since we have time. One is, I know obviously we've had quite a few meetings, and I've talked to Dan about this a couple times too. I'm just making my point known here to the rest of the commission, but we've talked about raising fees for water to make acquisitions. We've talked about raising stormwater fees to take care of some of the drainage problems in other areas. I just want to let everybody know that I'm getting a lot of pushback from a lot of citizens in Central, East, and the southern part of the county. I'm hearing from a lot of people that they are not keen on paying for these acquisitions. I'm just putting it on the record here. I'm also hearing from a lot of people, especially in East Pasco, it's not even my district, some more in Dade City and Zephyr Hills, that live in areas that have no drainage problems, and they are expressing their frustration about their fees being possibly raised, I'll say possible, raised to take care of issues that are roads they have no access to or don't drive. So just letting people know that I'm sure once it comes to that point where we're going to be discussing this again and making decisions, I would assume you're going to hear a lot of pushback from a lot of people. So they're getting louder, and I can appreciate it. I think we can all appreciate it. Anytime we talk about raising fees, we can understand their frustrations too. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more of that. Lastly, I wanted to bring up the donation bins. I was actually on the phone with Christy Sims, and thanks to this board, obviously we put in new policies and a new ordinance when it came to the donation bins that are sitting, across the county. If you haven't noticed, seem to be coming back. They kind of dwindled away for a while. They're coming back again. So I talked to staff over the last couple of weeks about, hey, what can we do? I know Code has gone out there and identified about 40 now. They're going to reach out to the property owners and see if they've given permission, because they haven't gone through the proper permitting and don't have the tags on them, or the stickers, I should say. If not, staff, oh, thank you. Staff, or actually, I think Code is going to probably end up citing them and getting these things pulled off. So talking to Christy, was talking to Christy, what else can we do about this? Every time we have to go out and clean one of these up, it costs staff time. It also costs our taxpayers money to go out there and clean these things up. So my thought was, and I wanted to bring it to the board before she possibly starts to work on this and talks to Jeff about this, is maybe a bond on each one of those bins. And by a bond, would it be they have to put some sort of deposit down, whether it be $100, $200, or $300, whatever it may be. And if for some reason we have to go out there, and staff Public Works has to go out there and clean that up and use man hours, they're going to be charged. I like it. Yeah. So, I want to get away from, putting the burden on the taxpayers when this is something they had nothing to do with, obviously, and none of us had anything to do with. They're not being permitted, they're not being even allowed to be there. And every time we go out there, there's tipping fees involved. There's could be possible overtime involved. They're pulling them off the street on something else. If you guys would be keen on that, we can continue that conversation.
Legally, I don't think there's a problem. Practically, I don't know that you'll find a surety who will issue a bond for these. So it would be.
Would we call it something else?
Well, I mean,
it would be almost like their bond. They put the money in.
You would be able to do a cash bond.
Correct. That's what I mean.
But you wouldn't. I don't know that they'll be able to get.
Oh no, they wouldn't get a bond. It'd be a cash bond. They put up the money themselves. So whether, again, what Christy will look into, and obviously I'm sure she'll be speaking with you about this. I told her I'd bring it up to the board, make sure we have some consensus to allow them to go forward and look at this. Talk to the team and say, hey, how much do we think this costs in man hours? What does it cost typically in tipping fees? It's one thing to pick up a thing of garbage, but it's also another thing to pick up a stove and a couch, and what's the average cost for us going out there each time we go there, and that's probably what the deposit should be. Again, unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot of the, quote, true charity bins. Right. I see less and less of the Goodwills, I think, because they're frustrated with the people dumping there, and they've done a good job themselves with cleaning up in the area. If they dump there, they pull them off. They want nothing to do with it anymore. These other ones aren't charities. Again, going back, they're businesses that basically are doing business without being licensed, without going through the proper permitting process. They're throwing these bins up there. They're taking the textiles. It's a commodity. They're selling them, trying to get money back. Commodity's down. It sits there longer. They go out of business. They decide that's not the thing for them. It stays there. They never clean these things up themselves. I can't tell you how many phone numbers I've called on those. Not one time has one person answered. Right. And most of the time, they're not real phone numbers. So if we're good with that, is everybody cool with her looking at that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea. I think the deposit is, call it better than the cash bond, whatever. I think it's the exact way to go. When they pick the number, I think you ought to pick what's the number going to be to remove the bin and clean up any trash that tends to happen around that area. And if that's the number that's in there, I think it's justifiable. We give them one warning. If it's got to go back again, then we take the thing out with the bond or the deposit.
Good. Yeah. Good. So we have support. We'll have that conversation, and we have some direction for them. Cool. All right.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Ms. Starkey?
Well, I was going to comment on that, but when I was on the board of the American Red Cross, I helped them bring those to the county, and the American Red Cross was making $1,000 a month on one of those with a third party. With a third party was running it. So they do.
The textiles.
Yes. So they do bring in a lot of money. That's why you're seeing all of those, and I think there's plenty of room for them to have to deposit some money with us. My thoughts went to when we started back when I had my little 501c3 that was working with the county, when there was bus benches being dropped off on every single driveway on US 19 overnight, and they were running their business in the right-of-way for free. And now we have an agreement with the bus bench advertisers where they pay the county a certain amount of money per bench per month. But I don't like that idea. Well, one, the bus benches are on county property, the public right-of-way. But two, it also makes them think, well, okay, now we're not responsible for the dumping. The county's going to pick it up. So we want to make sure that it's a high number, so that they do police their own, and they don't rely on us to clean it up, in my opinion. So,
Could I follow up on that?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm hoping it discourages them from even wanting to bring them to the county. Again, we saw a time when there was hardly any, when we had this last discussion and first put this out, the ordinance out, again, starting to come back. So, I mean,
yeah, I
I'll
think
be
the
honest,
Red Cross
I'd rather just discourage it, because if they're there, there's going to be dumping. I mean, there will. May not be today, it'll be next week, though.
well, then let's try this out, and if it doesn't work, then we can always ban them, I would think.
I would think that was a problem we ran into before of the actual ban, so, but we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't have much today, but I do want to remind you that lectures on the lawn is Friday, and so therefore it's going to rain. Probably tornadoes, my luck. So we're going to make a call at the end of the day, but we very likely may try and switch it to Thursday, so which is my preferred night anyway, because Friday I don't think is the best night. But we have an amazing lineup for this Lectures on the Lawn. We have someone from Laura Bennett from UF-IFAS talking about our livestock extension program here in the county. And then we have live music by one of our firefighters, Andy Bryant, and Vivi Likes Dimmitt, who's on a committee with me, is bringing an award-winning documentary. It's 10 minutes long. It's called Cowboys and Scientists. It just won a big award at the Dunedin Film Festival. And then the main event is Bob Stone, who's with the Florida Cattlemen's Foundation, and he's going to take us on a multimedia journey through 5 centuries of cattle ranching from the time of Juan Ponce de Leon to the 21st century. And like I may have told some of you, most people do not realize that Florida was the very first cattle ranching state in the country. So I got a lot of people coming to this one, and I hope they hang with us if we have to move it to Thursday, but stay tuned. We'll send out notices if we get this moved.
Very cool.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
That's all?
That I can remember right now. Oh, we did have Commissioner Merman up at AMPS. Commissioner Merman and the Pinellas Economic Development Council, and the new guy from the Hillsborough Career Source, and someone from Hillsborough Community College were up for a tour of AmSkills last week, and we're looking for ways to partner with Hillsborough County because they really liked our program. And we're getting more and more employees from local companies who want to get upskilled. So it's kind of an interesting phenomenon that's happening. So,
okay, thank you, Mr. Wells.
Wasn't AmSkills part, or no, AmSkills was Hernando? What, I thought it was part of another county.
It was Hernando, Pasco, Pinellas. Hillsborough took $1 million of BOCC money, and they put it into another program, in which they continue to fund. But theirs is a little different than ours. Yeah.
I thought so. I wasn't just wasn't sure. So. Okay, a couple things. I want to thank the board and staff that made it to the our Feeding Pasco's Elderly breakfast. I know you were out of state, but it was a great event. No, it was last week. I don't think you were there.
Feeding Pasco's
The east one was.
The East Pasco one last week.
Oh, on the other side.
Yeah, so it was last week, and I know Commissioner Oakley and Commissioner Mariano were there, and I know Commissioner Moore said he would contribute to it, so thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. I was at TDC.
I know. Well, I'm just saying, but I know staff, and I just, I know we, we don't always thank staff enough, but I can tell you, Kim and her team just do an unbelievable job. Kathy, obviously, with everything to prepare for this, it's not easy. It was out at Covington Farms. We were honored the Porter family, and we raised over $32,000 for hour and a half breakfast, which is great. And I know I've said it before, but $1,000 helps to feed one senior for a year. So this is I'm on a bunch of boards as all of you, but this is one that truly helps. And we still have a waiting list for seniors, but it's nice to see that waiting list come down to 10 to 20, not 200 or more.
Good
So,
job, raising the money.
yeah, no, I enjoy that board. Like I said, I enjoy every board, but that's a good one. I have a ribbon cutting. Well, it's actually in Commissioner Oakley's district. There's a ribbon cutting on Thursday, which I happen to know the owners of Harmonious Greens, and it's going to be the first container farm in Pasco County. It's pretty neat. I mean, they're looking at being able to grow 1,200 heads of lettuce a week out of a 400 square foot container. Basically, it's 2 acres of farming.
Where's that located?
It's on the, I'll give everybody the sheet and with the address, but it's on the back side of the airport. So it's way out there. So it's on the east side of Zephyr Hills Airport where they're having the ribbon cutting. It's just neat because there's no chemicals, no pesticides. They're saying, I don't eat vegetables, obviously, but they are saying that I had a lettuce will last in your fridge for 3 weeks. I guess that's a big deal. I don't know. I don't eat salad, but so it is next Thursday. It's actually tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I will get you the address.
That's Wednesday.
Yes, it's tomorrow, Wednesday. Sorry, I said Thursday. So anyhow, hey, I'm just being real. Just being real. Okay, last thing, and I know Commissioner Starkey's brought this up several times, and I know I've met with the sheriff on this several times, talking about some sort of rental registry ordinance. And I know when we first started talking about this a year or so ago, the conversation started with, making the landowner, or the tenant pay a fee. We talked about having them inspect houses twice a year. There's some things that I wasn't necessarily in favor of. I didn't think it would actually work. I mean, the numbers were like we needed 50 more code folks, I think, to make it work doing something like that. So in the meantime, and I'm a realtor on the side, so I've been meeting with Chase, with Sheriff Naco, with minimum housing, with code, with legal, with utilities, because utilities has the same kind of issues when it comes to renters, walking out and then her not knowing, I say her, Sandra, not knowing who is there. So she's actually having folks now when they sign up having the actual land owner, their name, unless it's a property landlord. So it really is a life safety issue. So I would like to I met with the Board of Realtors, I met with the property management companies for West Pasco last week. They're on board for it. I know they're not. They don't really agree with what New Richey's doing, again, mainly because of the fee and some other things. And I assured them it's not for us to overregulate. It's for us to make sure that these life safety issues, when the sheriff's office gets called out, that they know who's in this house, who owns this house. It's kind of like the trespassing ordinance. We still have issues with knowing who owns the property to be able to address it. I just want to make sure if the board's okay with this, for me I want to involve every stakeholder. So I'm going to meet with the folks, the Zephyr Hills, property management companies, the realtors out in East Pasco, Central Pasco, to make sure we have their buy-in and to get some ideas, because we've already got some ideas that were good ideas last week when we met with them. But again, the big thing to me is life safety. That's, it's been going on too long. Again, I know Commissioner Starkey's brought it up several times, but we need to do something. We need to start moving forward with it in a way I think that'll work. Chase, I don't know if you want to say anything towards it. You can. I know Chris wanted to be here, but just briefly, I think the board's on board with it.
Board's on board.
But, I didn't know if you want to say something real quick. Maybe they have a question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Chase Daniels, Pasco Sheriff's Office. So as the Commissioner noted, we're prepared, as the board knows. We actually manage the false alarm registry as well. That is actually managed in-house through our IT department. And we understand the concerns that were expressed about the Newport Richey and the registry fee and things like that. So in a meeting with Christie and code enforcement and Commissioner Wells and others, our IT department can manage this program. It would essentially be the same way as that false alarm registry. It would basically create a database that would tie in and give us that kind of information on, a local contact, who should be in the house, a rental agreement, who the owner is, things like that. So whenever ourselves and code enforcement come upon these issues, that as the commissioner said, are life safety issues and code enforcement issues, we then have that definitive point of contact. Mr. Biles, to a point I know Commissioner Wells raised as well, this is something that we can absorb through our IT department and existing resources. It's not going to be something that is going to come back later. Instead, it's going to be something that our IT department has already kind of been working on in anticipation of this coming down after that first meeting where fees were discussed to address that. So, and we thank you for your support.
Ms. Starkey.
Commissioner Wells, I'm very glad you've been working on this. I haven't seen, what our ordinance is going to look like yet, but certainly we don't want it to be over-regulated or difficult for many landlords. But I can tell you, I speak to this at my HOAs and at my Harbor South Leadership Council meeting, and to many people in my district where I think a lot of the issues are, and it's just overwhelming, the support for something like this. Because when you have someone on your street who's renting their house out and they don't care what their tenants do on that street, it becomes a real quality of life issue for the rest of the neighborhood and brings it down. So, if you own one house because your parents died and you didn't want to sell it and you rent it out, that's one thing. But when you're a landlord, and when you have multiple houses and you're renting these out, that's a business, and you should be held accountable for the effects of your business, in my opinion. So, certainly, if your tenants are causing no problem, that's fine. But if you're starting to have our code enforcement and our sheriff have to come out there regularly, the other people on the street shouldn't have to be paying for the time of the county employees to go out there over and over again. So, I can't wait for this to come. And looking forward to seeing that ordinance.
Yeah, we're trying to think of a little bit different name, but we'll come back with that. But one thing that's important to me, and I've spoken to Chase about this, is we're all kind of in the same system. I know there's going to be information the sheriff's office can't share with us, but like, for instance, I met with the property appraiser to talk. We know there's 99,000 non-homesteaded properties in Pasco County. Obviously, they're not all rentals. They could be summer homes or winter homes. But it was important that we are on the same. So utilities could send information to the sheriff's office. Code, when they go to cite somebody, would share information with the sheriff's office. So we're all on the same page, and we're not having to reinvent the wheel here. That's what's important, and it may take a little bit for us to talk through that, but I think it's going to be a win-win for everybody. And we've done a great job collaborating with the STAR team and everything else, but it's nice to have one CAD system, if you will, that, again, I know there's information you can't share with us, but I think everything we could share with you, on the other side.
Absolutely, and Mr. Chairman, if I may make one additional comment. And Commissioner, I think you're spot on there, and that's something I know the sheriff feels very strongly about, and I think this board does as well, that this should not be a punitive measure, which is why we're looking to do it not on a fee-based system like some of the other jurisdictions do across Florida, but this is truly about making sure that the sheriff's office, code enforcement, that we have the information we need to properly do these jobs and clean up these properties, as Commissioner Starkey noted. It's not punitive. There isn't a desire to have a fee or a registration fee, which is why we can manage it at no cost. It's very much like the false alarm ordinance, where we just want to have someone to contact to take care of the issue, as opposed to constantly trying to track down people.
So wait a minute, are you saying there would be no fee?
There will be no fee.
Not to register.
Oh, okay. But if there's someone has to, if code enforcement gets called?
Oh, yes, there will be fees, yes. That's what we have to work
That's
out.
what I care about.
Yes, there will be fees.
Yeah, but
Just
there-
like the collection box.
And just like the false alarm ordinance, there would be no fee to register, but obviously on that false alarm ordinance, once people start having multiple false alarms, there's those fee schedules.
Yeah.
Well, and it's what was nice that I found meeting with the Board of Realtors and the property management companies. While we were there, they were getting emails from Chase on the trespassing ordinance so they could go ahead and fill it out for all of their commercial pieces that they manage where they really didn't know too much about it. So it's just going to help us educate so we can get more folks on that. So that way we're able to trespass and you know who's there and who the owner is to make it easier for your folks. And the bottom line is life safety. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well,
you know.
don't forget, I want them to have garbage pickup. But I do have a question. Certain kind of fees we don't get to keep, they go to the state, so,
We'll discuss
right?
that with legal.
I guess we're going to have a workshop on this, and then we can discuss what that looks like, because I wouldn't want that money, even though we're getting all the costs of the sheriff going out and the code enforcement going out, I wouldn't want that money going up to Tallahassee and not to us. So we need to be careful what we call it.
Yeah, and I think my understanding, and I'll defer to the county attorney, but whenever we had met with Christie, things like, this would essentially be a code violation for not registering, which, again, I assume would benefit the county.
No, we don't keep those fees.
And that's, if it's
So-
code enforcement process, you're limited by the process that you've got.
Okay, how about this?
We'll talk through that then.
There's a tiered level of registration fees, and every time code has to go out, you get bumped to a different level of registration fee.
I just want to make sure I get approval from you to start walking through it. We've already kind of started it, but that way we can get Christie to start drafting
Yeah,
something
then just bring
out.
it back,
Yeah.
and then you can work on the
Yeah,
those
okay.
particulars.
No, I agree with you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm good.
Are you done, Mr. Wells?
Could I tag into that, Mr.
I am,
Chairman?
but yes.
Yeah. I think it was, 4 months ago we met, and we talked about this issue. We talked about the brush and trespass ordinance, also that panhandler ordinance as well. So I assumed our county attorney was working this through to bring something back to us. Is that not the case? Because we're going to try to copy Newport Richey's ordinance and bring it back?
We're not going to copy Newport Richey's ordinance.
Well, at least bring something back and we
Yes,
look
we're
at
going to
it.
bring something back. Yes, sir. Yes,
There's
sir.
been different direction by different board members about what is to be,
'cause I
is to
kinda
come
go
back,
with
which
the
is
board.
why I'm,
Because when the board's going to talk amongst it, and we talk about something, we seem to have consensus. I mean, I thought we were rolling for that, even to do a workshop on it. So now I'm hearing differently than that, and it's a little disturbing. Are we changing process from when the board talks about something, and then we're going a different way when a few of the other members may say,
No,
well,
I'm just
hang
bringing
on?
back specifics because it wasn't specific. It was just, we're looking at a rental registry ordinance, moving forward with it. Am I correct, Jeff?
yeah, I mean, the rental registry or versions of that have been talked about for a couple of years now. The big problem has been that to copy Newport Richey's ordinance, which I have said on multiple occasions to this board, and there hasn't seemed to be complete buy-in, you would need a significantly larger code enforcement staff because they have a 3.5 square mile jurisdiction that they're enforcing a very detailed code on. That has not, there hasn't been buy-in by a majority of the board to go in that direction, though there has, excuse me?
I haven't ever seen an ordinance for us to discuss if we have buy-in or not. So, I mean, we have never workshopped it.
So I think we need to go, let's do a workshop on it. How quick can we do this to bring it forward?
Well, I think what I'm hearing is an outline of something we can draft together, then distribute to the board, and then we can do a workshop after that.
Right.
We need to have something in writing for you to review before we do a workshop. And I'm hearing some guidance.
And that's
today
basically what I was
from our
asking the board
team
is
and
again, I
Chase
think it's
and
important
the
that we
sheriff's
get the
office
opinion
that
of the
we can
stakeholders
kinda,
in the community. You know.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, some of, when we had a big downturn in the economy, you had a lot of outside companies come in and buy 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 homes, hundreds of homes, exactly. And that's probably where a lot of these problems are coming from as well. So getting them, maybe it's even looking at that specific part of, if you have one bad home, we're going to make you register all of them. So that type of thing is where we need to go strong. You need to make it where if you are a person who's got a rental, you don't have any problems, you shouldn't even have to register. If it gets further than that, you get problems. If it's one home, two homes, the penalties do need to step in.
Well, the idea is to have everybody register. Like I said, going forward with utilities, she needs the information from the owner and the renter or the property management company, and she'll be able to link that with the sheriff's office where she can transfer that information. Again, we know the issue is 1% or whatever it is. We know the issue is folks that have multiple ones. We know who they are.
Yeah, and if I could follow up on what Commissioner said, I believe the Sheriff's Office would support a full registry because, again, unfortunately, though it may be our first time at a home, it may be a very serious issue. And so it may be a 2 or 3 a.m. type issue where it would be very nice to have, that property owner or at least a local property manager that we could call up and say, look, we're on site here, we've got a serious issue, instead of having to rely on going through the public records and things like that to try to find an owner.
But if we've got 80% of the properties we haven't had any troubles with, you're going to make them go through loops, and you're going to take care of all that paperwork when there's no problem with them? I don't know why we just don't focus on where the problems are. And that's one of the things I liked about what I thought I heard about Newport Richey's was their situation was they didn't make everybody register. And maybe I'm hearing something wrong.
No, I do believe Newport Richey makes everyone register as well.
They do.
Okay. So, and that was probably why I didn't like it at first, but when I heard if they're in a penalty situation where code's got to go out there, there's a violation, then we make them register, and I think that's a conversation we had, I'm more comfortable with that. To make every single person go do it when there's no problems with them, I don't know why we'd want to
Thank you. But
put
I think
ourselves
you
through
got to
it.
make every person that falls in that category has to go under the same rules. So even though you have trouble with just maybe 10% or whatever it is,
Yeah, I don't know how you can legally
everybody
pick
that
and
does
choose
the
either. I
same
don't
thing
know.
needs to be under the same rule. Even though they don't have trouble, they're just doing a better job, so.
Which is why we also recommend the zero fee registration, so there isn't that initial fee for everyone. It's completely free, we need the information.
Yeah. Mr. Biles, will you come up with something for the board to look at with the county attorney?
With the county, I was working.
Mr. Steinsteiner come up with something?
Yeah, his
Okay.
staff
And then after
Christie.
we look at some of that, then we'll have a workshop on it, so, okay?
Well, I'm not sure that we can, we'll do the best we can. My guess is you're going to have a workshop to debate out what
Well, that's
the
probably-
document will look like.
Work toward that then, yeah. That'll be fine. Mr. Moreno, wait a minute. Mr. Moore?
Oh, sorry, yes, he had to come back to me. Hey, one thing, and I mentioned this briefly to Dan, it's just maybe something to look at in the future when we're rewriting the land development code. Going back to certain things that are burdens on all taxpayers, and I think about roads. I think we need to get to the point where unless a road's like an arterial collector, if it's, okay, let me get back up. If there's a new development, I really honestly think we need to get away and very far away from taking on any of that maintenance of those roads in the future, because we're going to end up in the spot we're already at right now. I understand if it's an arterial road or collector road, there's things we work, obviously deals with the landowners and the developers about. But having a funding mechanism within those neighborhoods, whether it be a CDD or an HOA of some sort, that can, and stormwater, that will be able to maintain those in the future, so it's not a general burden to all taxpayers. I just think that's something we need to look very, very closely at in the future. A lot of neighborhoods now, especially along the 54, 56 corridor, are CDD-type communities, right? For example, the one I live in now, my CDD fee covers all road maintenance, covers all our stormwater within that community.
Yeah.
But in many of them along that corridor do now too. I think we need to be very, very cognizant of the future and what we allow and what we don't allow. Because we can't, every meeting now, we're looking at PVAS, we're looking at PVAS, we're looking at PVAS. Well, that's only going to grow, it's only going to get worse if we keep taking on the possible maintenance in the future of these roads. Just a thought, especially as we're rewriting the land development code and doing some of these things. What can we do to make sure that these neighborhoods will be able to be self-sufficient and self-sustaining in the future for their roads and their drainage, and it won't be a general obligation of all taxpayers? Because there's enough work that already has to be done on our arterials and some of those collectors now. You hear about it all the time. We want to raise this fee, we need to raise this fee to pay for what's already there. How in the world are we ever going to be able to pay for what's going to happen 15 and 20 years down the road unless we start making some changes now of what's required of those residents in those neighborhoods and what their obligations are going to be.
But what if you don't live in a neighborhood that has an HOA or civic association or a CDD district?
My point is, in the future, we need to look at possibly if there's some of a new neighborhoods built, there has to be some type of mechanism that allows, again, because if not, we're going to have to come back and figure out how to maintain those roads.
Mr. Chairman.
It's just something to think about.
There is no, to Commissioner Starkey's point, there is no residential community that is developed under the current land development code that does not have an HOA or a CDD. There just isn't.
So, but at the same time, we don't,
but to the Commissioner's point, it is correct. There is no, CDDs are special purpose local governments. There is no reason to form them and take all the maintenance responsibilities back into the county. Then it just becomes a financing mechanism for the development. So I agree with the Commissioner. I don't, and there needs to be some pilot policy direction. I'm not sure that the board wants, other counties have, but I'm not sure the board wants to force everyone into a CDD type.
No, I didn't say a CDD.
Right.
There's even HOAs that have that set up. So there is enough, there's an HOA fee that's large enough to help them maintain those too, in some HOAs. So it's just something we need to, I really, really think we need to think about in the future, because if not, we're going to continue to go down the road we are now. It doesn't have to be a CDD, but there needs to be some type of mechanism set up. It could be through an HOA, it could be
Well, that is,
whatever.
there was discussion a few years ago about doing these retrofits, say for stormwater programs, under either MSBUs or MSTUs.
As it's built, you're saying?
Which one? No,
Benefit
the older neighborhoods.
Well, I'm talking about new, right now I'm just talking about newer ones that are coming.
But I,
Yeah, but Commissioner, I think for the most part, the ones working through right now, the only roads we're taking maintenance responsibility are those that provide connectivity to other areas. So vision roads, arterials collectors, and those that we have said you need to connect, so we have connectivity through our bypass routes.
So some of those collectors, I know we briefly talked about, some of those I wouldn't, you can consider them collectors, I might always consider them collectors. Honestly, we need to look at that closer. I mean, we have to do it. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be sitting here 20 years down the road. I can tell you that right now. I love what I do, but I won't be sitting here 20 years down the road. But at the same time, for the future boards and the future staff, future administrations, the future with the citizens in the county, we need to just make sure that we're looking at that very closely.
I don't know any other way that you could do it than the way we're doing it.
We don't have to debate this now.
No, we don't.
I'm just bringing it up. It's something we need to think about and look at it. especially
PVAS
in
for a while, so.
There are roads that we consider collectors I don't consider collectors. That's my.
Okay. Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say up at Sun West, the beach charity event was phenomenal. Staff, Kathy, staff, Keith, Christina, Charlie, the whole team up there was just so incredible. They get the grounds up on great speed. The investment we put in the sidewalk going up and down with this protecting wall, absolutely phenomenal. People were raving about it. The difference of going from last year being the first year to do it to this year, the way they were treated, the way it all went, they were just blown away. So, you know, everything that's going up there is great, and I see a lot of other events wanted to come forward. So you're doing a phenomenal job up there. There are a couple of things that's going to go on. There's a Pasco Hernando State College is having an event up there on a Friday. It's a one-day thing, May 10th until 2 o'clock, and they're hosting a beach bash for all the students and employees of an end-of-the-year celebration, which I think is great. I want to see all our schools actually try to do their field trips there and that type of thing instead of driving somewhere else. They're asking us to waive the fees for the duration of that day for the students and staff. Again, it's a Friday afternoon. It's on May 10th. I would just propose I make that motion, Dan.
Well, if we waive the fees for every event that's going to happen there, then you're going to have to increase the park's budget to maintain Sun West. So, there needs to be some kind of limit on the fees we waive out there and some kind of restriction. Otherwise, we're going to have to increase park's budget for the maintenance, and because we're going to have people out there just like we had out there this weekend. So the board can make a motion and we'll pay for it with general fund money, the fees, but I mean, at some point, you're going to have to increase
It's
parks budget.
it's not
if
a
you continue
utility, so you don't have to supplement it as far as that goes.
Well, it's funded through the general fund.
Right,
So
but it's not like a utility fund where you gotta reimburse it, you just don't have to charge the fees.
Except
But
those fees are
parks,
paying
they're paying for the expense
operation.
of the operation. So our parks employees that are out there to support that event, instead of them being reimbursed by the fees, parks budget will be paying and covering those fees. So you're still paying for the people that are out there.
You're not getting
doing
the
work.
revenues, which you're not getting.
We're just not getting the revenue to cover that, which was part of the budget process. We expect some revenue to cover those. So I'm fine with the board waiving the fees, but at some point, if we continue to waive fees at Sun West, we're gonna have to increase parks budget to account for that.
What was it that you wanted to waive the fees for again?
It's the Pasco Hernando State College hosting a beach bash for all the students and employees as an end of the year celebration.
Why
It's
don't
on
you
a-
ask their foundation to pay for it? They have a lot of money.
Yeah.
They can. I do have another request too, so let me give you both of them. The next one is the Special Olympics. They go out there, they train. It's Special Olympics Florida, Hernando, Pasco counties, SUP program practice schedule. They go Mondays on June 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, June 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and August 5th. Practices start between 9 and 11. Between the two programs, they serve approximately 25 individuals with intellectual disabilities. Their ages range from 8 to 60. They need to have the parking waiver for about 20 vehicles. Some of them already have the county pass, but not all of them do.
Just to help you through this. So with the Special Olympics, now the other one, to be honest with you, that's not I don't consider that the other one a charity or it might be a not-for-profit because it's a school, but it's not really a charity, so I wouldn't be keen on that. But the one you're talking about now with the Special Olympics, so they're training for and how, again, you mentioned some days, how many weeks are they going to be doing this?
Most of it's in June. It's about 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, and then 1 day in August.
Yeah, and this is just for the training for the upcoming Special
For the training
Olympics.
for the upcoming.
That one I'm cool with. Special
so-
Olympics, I mean, they're not-for-profit, and then they're we would, if they went to another park, we allow them to use that park for that, so, but
What's the fee
that's
for
I'm fine
that?
with.
No?
What's the fee?
How much is
You're
it?
talking
They
about the
charge-
parking fee, right?
Yeah, parking fee, it's like $5 a day, or you buy the annual pass, either one.
What about if we give them a reduction on the annual pass? Like cut the annual pass, if they're going to be there 9 times, and we make the pass $30 per, or cut the fee in half, and then they have the pass for the whole year. Wouldn't it be?
But they might be coming from this is for the, volleyball game? The beach volleyball Special Olympics? Is that what sport they're training for?
They got a bunch of different things they're doing, I guess, out there.
Well, wouldn't you want
But
to?
they train for a certain sport, so
Yeah,
what?
I mean, there's like I
They're
said,
training
a
for
few-
multiple sports?
There's a few different ones, you may do different ones that they're doing. I mean, they've got one that paddle boarding where they actually have a special chair that's going to be built so they can actually paddle board out there, one person. Some can stand, some can't, so, I mean, there's just different things out there.
But this is actually training for it.
This starts in June. If you want, I can even bring them forward to get them more details to exactly what they're doing, but I'm gonna go out there on a limb. This is something that I think the more people we have out in the park, the better, and I know we gotta pay these costs, et cetera. I think it'd be good if we started taking a look at how we're gonna get a few vendors out there for the next year, because right now you come in a summertime season, so maybe Kathy, you and Keith can sit down and talk, and I've talked with them a little bit. Let's get some vendors out there that can actually help support this stuff, because I tell you, there's a water ski team show that wants to come in here. They were out there, they were very well received. They had probably 100 and some odd people get out there that day. So there's ways to pick up the park until we do the RFP, which is coming out soon. But through this summer, we need to find a way to make more revenue, and the more people get in there, the more revenue you make from these vendors. There's no food still out there still. So, I mean, currently what we have is I think you can go out there for 120 days during the year, and that goes to a fee that they pay us, but I think we can even do better than that coming up.
So I want to go back to my point that why don't we try and help them get to a annual pass at a reduced price? I don't know what that looks like.
I'm
but
okay with that idea too. And right now, it
Fine,
starts in
let's find
June,
a
so we
way.
got a little bit of time. I'm just saying, it's a conversation maybe that Kathy and Keith can talk through and bring us back something they can think that could work for this.
Well, and Go ahead, Mr. Webb.
I'm okay with it, but my thing is, where does it stop? Then we do it for them, then everybody's gonna want it. And I know we based the employees we have out there when we took it over off the park fees of whatever it was last year, 120,000, I'm assuming, or whatever the number was. I think it was 6 figures, so hopefully we're gonna see that number again this year. It's not gonna go down.
Right.
But I don't have any issues doing that, but I guess my thing is, and it puts everybody into a tough spot, because there's so many great nonprofits. There's, again, Special Olympics, all of them are good, so that's my thing, is maybe we try to do something with an annual pass, and then that way at least they're going back on their own, or maybe they couldn't afford to. I don't know. It's a tough situation. You know the way I feel about park fees. This is different, but we still have the park fees at the boat ramps.
No, and I want to say, like I said, the staff has done a phenomenal job, but we do want to keep its staff out there the way they do it, and they are doing a tremendous job. We do get to find the revenue, but I'm just saying, short term right now, the more people you get out in that park, the better. The more passes you're going to sell, which is probably what happens with everything. I mean, I've had people go out there, they didn't even know we had the annual pass that was out there. And frankly, maybe what we need to do, let me recommend this. Kathy, we need to find a way. I don't know if you have to use some of Patrick's space or something. We need to have some little type of kiosk out there where people that go in there and pay that $5 fee, once they paid it, they could say, look, take your $5, take your credit, go get the annual pass. If you got to send it down to veterans, it's costing yourself sales. If you can have someone there somehow to set that up, I think you can start selling more sales. And then as we drive people into that park, we're going to get those sales to come up.
Maybe there's a way to do it on the app.
It's a little complex of a process. I mean, I bought mine, there was like 4 things you had to go do to make it work. But I think if you can find a way to get it out there, get it to the park, as we have these events, it'd be a lot easier to sell. And I think it's something that's important enough to do. And I want to say, I'm going to give a shout out to Patrick Panakos, because what he's doing right now, for those that actually buy an annual pass, he's giving them a 2-hour wakeboard at the park itself. So he's trying to help us sell those park passes, because he knows getting people in is going to help his sales too. So maybe that's the way to go look at it, and maybe we can bring something back at the next meeting, Kathy, about
Why don't we do that
these
for the
fees.
next meeting, bring something back on that?
Yeah. Okay. Another couple of things on the West Pasco Habitat for Humanity. As you know, we joined with Pinellas, and I'll tell you what a great move that was. We had a meeting yesterday down behind the Cracker Barrel right near where the home's coming forward. The home looks fantastic. It's been raised up about 6 feet, partly with some fill we put in the ground, which now makes the ground dry. This habitat, now that we're joining, wants to build the next 6 homes immediately. One of the things on the very end property where the plaza is, because the property's been, let's say, the property of the parking lot got expanded, some lots changed, the very end 2 parcels, we need to get a variance from staff. Don, I've sent you this. I don't know if you've been able to handle that yet, or are we still looking at that?
Still looking at that.
Still okay. So, I mean, we need to try to find a way to make those lots work. There's still plenty of room that's in there. The setback may not be as much as we want, but not to build 2 homes, it would be crazy. I think it's going to be important, and coming up, I think Kathy and I are meeting next week. We're going to talk about them getting back into the CDBG funding. When we bought the 51 lots, we couldn't use CDBG because we couldn't turn them all over. These guys are going to be able to come in the mix, get with CDBG, get in this program, and literally they can put these first 6 homes, they've already got them sold already. People to go in them, people to set them up. So once we get these 6 going, you're going to see a lot more coming. And I think the sooner we get these done, the better. So
that habitat you say is a good program that they've combined? Because I was first hearing that they didn't really want to do that, but.
I mean, like any merger, you're always going to be hesitant, what's going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. But we have the strength, let's say, of this project and other land that we can get. They struggle finding land to go build these homes.
Right.
So they've got resources of 20 times what we had, and they can put these resources to work as well. They've got a team that can build, think about it, 50 homes a year. I mean, it's just phenomenal what they do. And I tell you, watching them talk at the meeting yesterday, they were like right on point. Yeah,
It'll change that neighborhood.
It'll change the neighborhood and create opportunities elsewhere. I mean, this could be a model project for the whole nation coming up.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
May I add on to that real quickly, and then we're past our time certain. But I know my brother-in-law, Frank Starkey, was at the Habitat for Humanity's fundraiser in St. Pete last week. They had a huge fundraiser at the Vinoy, and it was sold out, and they raised a lot of money, which I think a lot will be coming to towards our county. I am talking with Habitat about a project off a mile stretch. If you know where that Pure gas station was taken down, on the south side of that road, and there are a lot of issues in that neighborhood. There's 5 or 6 roads with some derelict mobile homes, and we've condemned quite a few of them, but that's one of the places on the heat map that are bright red on the opioid overdose area. And so I'm working real hard to find some some work to happen there that will elevate that community. And Habitat, I'm hoping to partner with Habitat on that. They want to keep working on the one behind Gulf Harbors, over there by Gulf Harbors first. But I'm really excited that we did partner with Pinellas, and I think that's going to be to our benefit.
Worked out real well.
Is that everything?
I can cover it after, we'll do your time certain first
Oh,
if
we
you
do
want.
that? Okay. We're now going to R2.
Do you read that, the resolution? Who reads that?
It's regular. You want me to do it?
Yeah, I think someone needs to read the resolution first, right? I know, you can stay up there, but here, do you need it? I don't know how it works, but there's the resolution.
I don't think we have one for yours. It's
Oh, we don't?
regular
Okay.
two,
Oh,
not
regular
RS2.
two. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, it's
Okay.
not resolutions, regular.
Sorry, I thought this was a resolution.
No.
I pulled the wrong thing. Okay.
Welcome.
Oh, good morning.
Where is that?
Name and address?
Yes, and actually I have a card.
Here.
Becky Afonso, 174B State Street in Oldsmar, Florida. I'm the executive director of the Florida Bicycle Association. The Florida Bicycle Association is a membership-based 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is bicycling education and promotion of smart cycling. So we are not a bicycle club. We are and always will be people, businesses, organizations, and communities working together to build a bicycle-friendly Florida that benefits all. Our association annually recognizes those who demonstrate achievement within our mission and vision. The Tri-County Trail Connection won the 2014 Future of the Region Development Infrastructure Award from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. Today, the future of the region is here, and the Tri-County Trail Connection on the cusp of completion. Commissioner Catherine Starkey has been and continues to be the champion of this connection and for Pasco County. Her experience, tenacity, and public service record are admirable and inspirational. I could read from the multiple paragraphs of her online bio page, but instead I will share just a few personal experiences. I remember a few years back when the Florida Department of Transportation held a coast-to-coast connector trail public meeting in Webster, the commissioner fighting for Pasco County to host a meeting and not be overlooked. I also recall her determination to fill the trail gaps in Pasco County ASAP, to ensure those using the trail will boost the local economies where shops and restaurants are accessible, and ultimately to have residents and visitors on the trail embrace Pasco as a friendly destination and a community to enjoy. I look forward to the ribbon cutting for the Tri-County Connection. I also look forward to riding from my city of Oldsmar, coming to Pasco County, having lunch, and then going back. And I personally want to thank the Commissioner for her persistence to make this vision a reality. So this morning it is my honor to present Commissioner Catherine Starkey, our 2018 Elected Official Champion of the Year.
So, yeah, I'm so honored that you guys thought of me, and went my path to my trails kind of work started when I was on the Anclote River Basin Board, Pinellas Anclote River Basin Board, and then I was also doing some work within the county as a civic activist, as my husband says, when I set up a table outside and tried to collect signatures. When they were building the Suncoast Turnpike, or whatever we call it, the Suncoast, they built a trail along the side, and actually my husband had said, you know, that the trail in the park really should connect to that trail. And I said, yeah, it really should. And so I started to talk to the various departments about connecting that trail, and it was a really interesting experience for me because it was Tampa Bay Water, Swift Mud, and the county that each one told me that they wanted it, but the other one didn't. And that went on for a couple of years, actually, and finally I just called for a meeting, and we met over in the utility building, and Tampa Bay Water came, Swift Mud, the county, and in the first 15 minutes, we had that trail connected. And in the next 45 minutes of our 1-hour meeting, we figured out the funding. We split it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, the county, Tampa Bay Water, and Swift Mud. And so we connected the Starkey Trail to the Suncoast Trail. And because of that, then I got noticed from state officials, and that's how I got put on the State Greenways and Trails Council. And from there is when I learned of the state's plan to make a connected system in Florida. And from there, I started working on the Starkey Gap, and that was when Governor Bush was in office. So sometimes government goes way too slow. But we're really glad that gap is under construction. We've also worked on off-road trails here in the county, and I know that Ron Sajak is here, who was the president of Swamp Club and really was the impetus to get those trails going in Starkey Wilderness Park. And so I think trails add so much value to quality of life and to communities. And I recall being in a meeting in Tallahassee when Visit Florida gave us a presentation, and they said there were more people asking for trails maps than golf courses. I mean, that trails had really overtaken the recreational desires of people coming to Florida. So this really means a lot to me, and I have even some family members here to be in a photo when we come down and take one, so I'll come down now. All right, thank you.
You want someone to come there?
Yeah, come on down.
Well, you probably want to do one of your family first.
And then all the
Yeah.
All right.
And then I want Ron and Rudy's here. If you've ridden out in the park, you've ridden Rudy's Ramble, and Rudy's here who helped push for those off-road trails as well. And those are all our first 3. We're gonna do a lot more, right? Excellent. Okay. We'll just hold one, and then the chair can come down. So it's my daughter Lindsay, my husband Trey, and Ron and Rudy. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, come on down. Thank you. Ron, you want to speak about off-road trails in the county while you're here?
Thank you for them. We can do some more. We need to build a bridge.
Okay, so why don't you give one to the chair to hold? This one for the.
I know, we ended up with 2.
That's great. You go one in your office, one at home.
County gets one.
One in your office, one at home. There you go.
I love it that it's a fat tire bike, because that's my favorite kind.
Yeah, over here. I'll go over here. That's my favorite.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. This is like my favorite award, I think. Oh, they're both on. Okay.
Well deserved.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Nope.
All right. Let's see, where are we at? All right, you have some more
I do have some more. You
information?
want to take the break, or?
Yeah, because we need to go do the photo.
We can
and
do it
I'm going to
later.
lunch
Yeah, we'll do
with
later.
these guys,
That's fine.
so.
They want us to do that photo this morning?
Yeah,
Before
outside
lunch?
with the new ambulances, right?
Okay.
Well,
we'll-
new ambulances are outside for you to go look at. They're the latest rescue units that we've gotten, the ones that we bought this year. A new paint scheme, some other new features on those that actually for
Okay.
public safety things. And then one thing you will notice is we're starting to put on all our units, serving the community of, and naming it in basically the
Whichever
community
area
that's
it's at.
around that.
Uh-huh.
So like serving the community of Dade City for the one that's there
Right.
near the courthouse, serving the community of Land O'Lakes, serving the community of Hudson, serving the community of
Right.
Holiday on the units
On the
in the
vehicle,
stations that are in those areas. And we really let the crews that man those stations kind of figure out what name represents their station. So that's kind of how those names, community names came about. So you'll see that on those out there, and you'll start seeing those popping up over, which will help you when you see a rescue unit that says serving the community of Wesley Chapel, and it's in Holiday. You'll kind of understand some of our issues with respect to some of the response times we have, so.
Right.
So-
Okay,
so we
let's
can break for
adjourn
lunch
for
now.
lunch, and we'll go out there and take pictures, so, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting, April 23rd, 2019. I'd like to remind everybody at this time, please silence all electronic devices. We're going to start with resolutions, and I'm going to change the order. So Resolution 2 is the one we'll start with.
Is there anyone here representing Special Olympics? If you could come forward to the podium, please. All of you, please.
Guys, just go back over there around the podium just for 1 second, and your coach will, Coach, go ahead and have everybody
can you
back there
help?
with you for
Yeah.
a second. There you go. Perfect.
That's good.
And then look at us, and we're going to talk to you for a minute, and then we'll come down there and visit again. Beautiful.
Great. Resolution number 19144. Whereas Special Olympics Pasco County was founded in 1972 and provides year-round sports training and competition opportunities to children and adults with intellectual disabilities at no cost to the athletes. Their mission is to give them continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, and participate in the sharing of gifts, skills, and friendship with their families, other Special Olympics athletes, and the community. And whereas here in Pasco County, Special Olympics Pasco County offers 17 sports to its 1,559 athletes. This is possible with the assistance of 240 citizens who volunteer their time and skills to assist with Special Olympics Pasco County programs and events. And whereas the sports offered include basketball, bocce, bowling, cheerleading, cycling, equestrian, flag football, golf, gymnastics, powerlifting, soccer, softball, swimming, tennis, track and field, volleyball, and stand-up paddleboard. And whereas the 2019 Summer Games were recently held at River Ridge High School and Wesley Chapel High School. And whereas Special Olympics Pasco County cheerleaders represented Pasco County in a video featuring their abilities, in which they were seen all over the United States and the world on social media. And whereas, according to Special Olympics Florida, the ultimate objective is to help people with intellectual disabilities participate as productive and respected members of society at large by offering them a fair opportunity to develop and demonstrate their skills and talents through sports training and competition, and by increasing the public's awareness of their capabilities and needs. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby recognizes Special Olympics Pasco County for their outstanding efforts in working with the children and adults with intellectual disabilities here in our community, done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passed.
Well,
Welcome.
Hi again, everybody. How we doing? Thanks for being patient with us, but the Special Olympics is just a great part of our community. Obviously, you have it on the west side of the county, and we have it on the east side of the county. And I was telling some folks earlier, my wife's a nurse at Wesley Chapel High School, and during the last Special Olympics, she didn't have to worry about taking care of the athletes. She had to worry about taking care of the volunteers that were there getting overheated and stuff, and not the kids. But we appreciate everything the volunteers are doing. So without you, I think there's probably close to 300 volunteers that help out between the west side and the east side. And without all you, these great events wouldn't happen. So it's great to see some of our athletes here today. And what we want to do real quick, before the coaches or whoever wants to speak says anything, we have a little video we want to show, which is pretty amazing because this cheer team actually got national exposure all over the nation for their great efforts. And it was pretty neat seeing our team from Pasco County here all over the news, just not locally, but all nationally on some of the major networks. So we'll get that thing rolling real quick. We have any volume? It's not to remember. Good job, guys. Good job. Yeah, almost 7 million people viewed your video. Did you know that? Many people? It's probably gone up. This is, yeah, quite a bit. 11.4 million views. That is awesome. You guys are movie stars in your own right. I'll tell you what, this is great. But congratulations to you athletes, and then I know who would like to speak.
Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm the director of the Special Olympics program. I have the most wonderful job on the whole world. This squad has been together under the direction of Sandy Kelleher for 10 years. 2 years ago, it became an official sport, and we've already got 3 squads, and we're hoping for that to grow. It's a great sport. We tease back and forth because I'm more of a softball person, and Sandy's the cheerleader. And one of our athletes we fought over for years, Shane Perry, whether she's going to be softball or cheerleading, and I lost. They're all amazing, and we appreciate being acknowledged by y'all. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Again. You know, besides cheerleading, there's multiple sports. Why don't you just tell us about the other sports? Just multiple sports are playing on the west side and the east side of the county.
Yeah, because our county, I don't want to.
You got to go to the microphone.
Get to the microphone.
Go to the,
I have a PE voice, so that's
That's
why I didn't
okay.
want to scare everybody. Because of the geographical of our Pasco, we kind of consider it east and west. Years ago, we had one county games at River Ridge where they competed. We got so big, we started to do the parade and nobody could move. And we thought, okay, we need to do 2. So that's when we expanded to the east side. We do have 1,550 kids. It's also awesome. a inclusion program where a lot of our athletes are people without intellectual disabilities. And the reason for that is so these guys that are at their school, they can see each other in the cafeteria, in the halls, and they're immediate friends because they've competed, they've trained, and they travel together as one. And that's what Special Olympics really wants to get out of the world, choose to include. So that's what we do in Pasco. We have some sports that are really growing. Powerlifting. Yeah. We started with about 3 powerlifting, and we're up to about 24 right now.
Is that gentleman in the back, is he one of your power lifters? Because I saw him flexing his muscles earlier, so I don't know.
Ricky?
Yeah. No? Okay.
But stand-up paddle, we have equestrian. We just sent 5 athletes to Lake Ocala to compete in the state equestrian.
Wow, really?
So a lot of sports that, you know, they have the opportunity to show their abilities.
Awesome.
And you can forget about all the other, because they have the spirit, they have the strength, and they have the opportunities to inspire all of us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. I mean,
Thank
without
you,
you and
Mel.
all the other coaches and volunteers, this wouldn't happen. I know it's very special for our athletes to be able to participate each year, and I'm sure you guys have a good time. And some of you will be back next year?
Y'all gonna do it next year?
Some of you going to be back? Okay. I don't know everybody's age, so I know some might be moving on, but so hopefully a lot of you will return. So we're going to come down, and we're going to take, I know we took a picture earlier, we're going to take another picture. I'm going to invite the rest of the board down, and we have some resolutions we're going to give volunteers. I'll let you give them out as you please.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go
before
ahead.
we do that, can I
Yeah,
make a
go.
statement?
Right.
You know, we had a discussion earlier today about Special Olympics and the upcoming at SunWest, and I think 7 million views. I'm going to remake my motion that we waive all the parking fees that go on for all the practice, et cetera, and whatever training they have going on. And in the future, when anyone from the Special Olympics wants to buy a pass, they can buy it at half price.
Yeah. So let's finish the resolution, this part, and we'll come back and let's do this.
I want to do it before we're down.
Okay. I think let's come back up and then.
All right.
do that.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm Yana. I'm Jack. Hi, Jack.
Nice to meet you.
Here's
Hey, Jack,
one.
how you doing?
Okay. Go in your office, right?
Perfect,
And then I have individual ones here, so I don't know how you want to spread those out. We have some athletes here, we have some volunteers.
Works for you.
It works, whatever's best for you. So. Is that easier for you? Okay. Yeah. I know you have some other volunteers here.
Congratulations. Good job.
So.
Back here? Yeah. Okay, we're going back.
Okay. So we're gonna try this.
We're gonna come back here, ladies.
So what, you come in the middle here, and then we'll hold this one together. You can be in the middle. So.
There you go.
Here, we'll hold it. There we go. There we go. Perfect. There.
Oh, there we go.
I'm gonna stand right between the muscles here.
Rihanna, get in front. Rihanna, you need to get up front. We can't see you at all.
So let's hold on one second, guys. We need to go from there. I got a great idea. All right, since we have some cheerleaders here, let's a few of you cheerleaders come down here and take the knee down here. Then we can see everybody.
Yeah, that's an idea.
There you go. Come on. All right, sweetie, why don't you come down here, sweetie? Okay, so we can see her.
Rihanna, come take a knee.
Here, I got you. Come here, sweetie. You want to come with me? Over here. We'll take a knee right here. Put the guns down. Here, sit down like this.
Hey, you just think you know I'm done.
There you go. We got you. Squeeze next to you, bud. Of course. Everybody in? Good, yeah. All right, we got it.
Sideways a bit, like this, sideways.
Hey, guys, Aaron right here. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Then mine, real quick. Why you have an aid, right, Commissioner? One more, everybody smile.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Good. Everybody, hey, congratulations, thanks, guys. Good job, bud.
Oh, thanks.
Good job.
Hey, sorry, I tried to get back in time.
All the chairs were right there, and then they.
I've heard that before.
yeah.
Meeting went a little long. Yeah.
All right, now let's go to resolution number 5.
Dr. Musunuru could come forward, please.
Where'd he go? There he is.
He's here.
Welcome.
Resolution number 19142. Whereas Ro Misunuru, MD, was a driving, I always say it wrong. It's not Raul.
Only you can say it that way. So.
Musunuru, MD, was a driving force that transformed the 50-bed rural hospital in Pasco County into the nationally recognized world-class Heart Institute at Regional Medical Center Bayonet Point in Hudson, and encouraged the establishment of the first and only comprehensive stroke center in Pasco County. And whereas Dr. Musunuru has raised the community medical standards for treatment of acute stroke, significantly decreasing morbidity and mortality rates, was instrumental in getting the Florida Stroke Act passed by the Florida legislature, and assisted in the effort to have automatic external defibrillators placed in Florida police patrol cars, government buildings, senior centers, and state parks. And whereas Dr. Musunuru has been an active American Heart Association volunteer since 1979, serving as Florida affiliate president in 2002 and 2003, and receiving National Chairman's Award in 2003, National Physician of the Year in 2005, National Voluntary Advocate of the Year Award in 2007, and many more. Whereas Dr. Musunuru continually serves the community at large by teaching and preaching through his medical, social, and philosophical guest columns in major newspapers and lectures, stressing the importance of proper prevention and prompt intervention, allowing people to live longer and stronger. And whereas Dr. Musunuru serves on many local boards for charitable organizations such as the West Pasco Historical Society, Feeding Pasco Board, CARES, as well as being the longest-serving member of the District Board of Trustees in college history at Pasco Hernando State College, and is among the longest-serving trustees in the Florida college system. And whereas Dr. Musunuru is CARES' all-time top donor, his contributions of time, effort, money, and skills have significantly benefited CARES. And whereas in recognition of Dr. Musunuru's amazing contributions to CARES and our community, CARES proposed that Dr. Raul Musunuru Loop be designated. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby designates Dr. Musunuru Loop at the entrance and exit of 12417 Clock Tower Parkway, Hudson, Florida. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Welcome.
This is what we're talking about. This is an extra one that our staff made for you to take home and put it somewhere special in your house.
Or in the office.
Or in your office. But we welcome you here, and gosh, this is just another one of many, many honors and awards that you've received and that you have earned, and we're so glad that we can do this for you. And I know there's probably a lot of people here from CARES to help celebrate this, but you're just so special to our community, and we're thankful that you're part of our community, and we're honored to do this for you.
Thank you. You're all very kind.
More.
You got to give more.
No, you don't have to say anything more if you don't want, but we're going to come down and take a photo with your street sign, and I have a resolution for you, and then one for the CARES staff as well. Everybody come down. Yeah. We should put on here, this is legal. This is legally an extra one. So this is for you.
I think we go in the back or the front?
Yeah, let's go in front.
Go in the front.
Man did show up too. I know, but I want. Okay.
This will be proof that it's an extra, that you didn't take it down.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
All right, is everyone in the photo?
Can I see everyone? Okay, terrific.
They wanted to name the whole clock tower after you, but it wasn't possible legally. But I think this was a great
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for all you
I think
do.
every once in a while, sticking it in front of another road sign, just by yourself, you can do multiple roads throughout the county.
So now you have buildings and now you have a road.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful. Always want to be in that.
Resolution 1.
Is there anyone here representing the National Day of Prayer? Could come forward, please.
They're bashful.
They're so wonderful.
These guys aren't bashful.
No, I know they're not.
Resolution,
Go ahead.
Resolution number 19143. Whereas the National Day of Prayer is an event deeply rooted in our country's history dating back to the First Continental Congress in 1775. In 1952, Congress passed a joint resolution recognizing a National Day of Prayer. In 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed a law setting aside the first Thursday of May as the date on which the National Day of Prayer is officially observed. And whereas the National Day of Prayer unites Americans with all socioeconomic, political, and ethnic backgrounds in prayer for our nation. This diversity was intended by Congress when it designated the National Day of Prayer. Not that every faith and creed would be homogenized, but that all who sought to pray for the nation would be encouraged to do so in any manner deemed appropriate. And whereas during this important time in our nation's history, we continue to give thanks and pray for the brave members of our armed forces that are defending our freedom and their families, we humbly ask God for their protection, for the recovery of the wounded, and for peace throughout the world, which we seek. And whereas 2019 marks the 67th anniversary of the annual observance of the National Day of Prayer with the theme, Love One Another, based upon the words of Jesus in John 13:34, which says, Love one another just as I have loved you. And whereas on Thursday, May 2nd, 2019, Americans will unite all over the country in prayer for our nation, state, and local communities, giving thanks for the many blessings we have received and asking for protection and blessings upon our nation and our nation's leaders. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners that said board hereby observes Thursday, May 2nd, 2019 as the National Day of Prayer and encourages all citizens to join in observing this day with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Welcome. Introduce yourselves and
Chairman Oakley, I'm Pastor Jerry Heckites, Good News Christian Fellowship, and coordinate Somebody Cares Pasco along with Pastor Leonard Lord. And we'd want to, number one, thank you for acknowledging and resolving that we observe the National Day of Prayer here in Pasco. We want you to know for us, prayer isn't a once a year thing. It's a daily thing. And we were gathered with other pastors and leaders today praying over each one of you by name, and glad to do so. And any way we can continue to pray specifically, we're glad to do so. We'll also be glad to pray for you personally and in person if you are able and desire to come right out here on May 2, 12 noon, and we'll pray over you personally with the group. And as Leonard is speaking, I'm just going to share with you an outline of prayer that we'll be using from the National Day of Prayer Task Force, give you a clue of kind of the ways and subjects we'll be praying over.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
got a motion and a second to receive. All those in favor say aye.
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 Yeah. For you too, Jim.
We need it.
Thank you. And we prayed for Dan this morning too.
Yeah, I told him we called his name out. Yeah, I'm Leonard Lord. I've been pastoring in Port Richey for going on 25 years. And of course, about 20-some years ago, joined with Somebody Cares Tampa Bay to begin to serve the community. If I could say one thing, I apologize. I've been too busy to be here with y'all and do as I wanted to. We adopted our grandson. He's 4 now, and so that's kind of rerouted my schedule. But it would be an honor to see y'all at the National Day of Prayer if your schedules would allow that. And we do gather around and pray over the building for the decisions to be made. And, you know, Timothy says this, first of all, prayer. I don't know how y'all interpret what comes before first, but first is pretty much where it starts, right? So first of all, prayer, supplication, intercession, giving of thanks be made for all, because God wants all of them to find the love and hope He has for them. And then for those in authority, that we might lead quiet, peaceable lives in all godliness and honesty. And I just want to thank y'all. I know it's the little I do in the community, what rests on my shoulders. I often can't imagine what rests on y'all. We are concerned. We're in some troubling times where it seems like the enemy wants a foothold to pollute all truth and all righteousness. And so I just ask you to just stand with us. I really, I thank you for your stand and encourage you to push forward on closing down the sex shops and things that just pollute our community. And of course, right now we're really wanting to work with the school board to set some things in order there. But thank you so much. Lord bless you. And I'm just going to say, Jesus bless them. Give them your wisdom from above that's pure and gentle and peaceable and full of mercy and good fruits. Amen. Thank you all and hope to see you out at the National Day of Prayer. Thank you so much.
Thank you both for being a part of our community, and we appreciate your prayers for us because we know that decisions we make on a daily basis around here, that they mean a lot to different people, and a lot of them are positive, and a lot of them sometimes adversely affect some people, and we care about our folks and citizens of Pasco, and we appreciate everything y'all have done. So we'll come down and have a picture.
I love what you said about it, those in authority living quiet and peaceful lives. That was a good one.
Everybody come down, let's take a picture.
That's what we're praying for. That only comes through the Prince of Peace, Jesus, when His presence is there. That's His kingdom, righteous peace and joy.
Gentlemen, I want to give you these two cross pins. These come from the 1687 Foundation. It's a nonprofit tax exempt organization. I had a bunch ready for the beach charity event because of a little incident we had. We got slowed down a little bit for getting it. But I'm going to bring one of those for everyone who does show up as well, that we can give away as well.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate it, Commissioner. Thanks a lot. Lord bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There we go.
Everybody can be seen. Come on.
One more.
There. Yeah, we're trying to catch you, but you. Yeah, you can read that First Timothy too.
Appreciate it. Always great to see you guys.
Number 3. Now, Resolution 3.
Is there anyone here representing MAD, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving? Please come forward.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution number 19145, whereas Power Talk 21, started by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, in 2011, was established as a part of Alcohol Awareness Month to encourage parents and caregivers to embrace their important role in influencing America's youth and their decisions about drinking alcohol, using other drugs, and riding in a vehicle with an impaired driver. And whereas in 2019, MAD encourages parents to use Power Talk 21 as part of the Power of Parents program to create a sustained and prolonged conversation about underage drinking and other drug use among middle and high school students. And whereas high school students who use alcohol or other substances are 5 times more likely to drop out of school or believe good grades are not important. And whereas 76% of Pasco County high school students reported obtaining alcohol by either having someone buy it, someone giving it to them, or by taking it from someone. And whereas 27% of middle school students try alcohol before graduating from 8th grade, significantly increasing the risk that they will develop alcohol problems later in life. And whereas teen alcohol use kills 4,300 people each year, more than all other illegal drugs combined. And whereas a majority of kids say their parents are their primary influence when it comes to decisions about drinking alcohol. And whereas the Alcohol Initiative Committee was formed as a collaboration between Pasco County Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, ASAP, and West Central Florida MAD to educate the community of the impact of impaired and underage driving. Whereas to equip parents to talk with their teens about alcohol, the Alcohol Initiatives Committee will continue to strive to give parents the tools to effectively talk to their teenagers and preteens about alcohol and other drugs to protect them from now and in the future. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of April as Alcohol Awareness Month in Pasco County and supports MAD in their Power Talk 21 initiative, reinforcing parents to have conversations with their teens about underage drinking. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April, 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. My name is Janine Lawrence. I'm with the West Central Florida Office for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or known as MAD, and I want to thank all of you for the Board of County Commissioners for having us here today, and especially for Commissioner Wells for sponsoring us to be here today. Mothers Against Drunk Driving and the Pasco Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, ASAP, which most of you know it as, want to remind the community that April is Alcohol Awareness Month, but our year-long focus is to reduce impaired driving and underage drinking in Pasco County, so it's not just the month of April. Here are some facts of why this is such an important topic for everyone in our community. Nationally, alcohol use kills about 4,300 teens each year, and that's more than all other illegal drugs combined, just alcohol. And about 30% nationally of 8th graders have tried alcohol, and almost all of 10th graders have tried alcohol nationally. Kids who start drinking young are 7 times more likely to be in an alcohol-related crash at some point in their life. And since the brain is not fully developed until the early 20s, alcohol can cause long-term damage to that developing brain. We know that adolescent drinkers perform worse in school, are more likely to fall behind, and have an increased risk of social problems, depression, suicidal thoughts, and violence. But the good news is that teens who do not drink alcohol until they're 21 years or older are 80% less likely to abuse alcohol or become alcohol dependent later in life than those who drink before age 15. MAD is committed to protecting families from both drunk and drugged driving and underage drinking. That's why MAD's annual Power Talk 21 campaign marks the time to either start talking with youth about alcohol and drug use or to renew those ongoing conversations with the youth in their lives. The focus of the 2019 Power Talk 21 is to empower parents to keep talking, because studies show that these conversations actually do work. Based on 2 decades of research, Power of Parents program that we have through MAD supports and encourages parents in their efforts to communicate with their teenagers about drinking alcohol, which has been shown to reduce drinking behaviors by 30%. Parents can access extensive resources through Mothers Against Drunk Driving website at madd.org. And again, I want to thank you for your support. I want to pass over to Bonnie Snyder from ASAP's Alcohol Initiatives Committee to say a few words as well. Thank you.
Again, my name is Bonnie Snyder. I currently chair the Alcohol Initiatives Committee under ASAP's umbrella. And like Janine, we'd like to thank you for continuing to champion this cause for us. As you noticed in the proclamation, there were statistics about Pasco County in which it stated that 76% of Pasco County high school students report obtaining alcohol by either having someone buy it, give it to them, or by taking it for someone else. It's important to note that, sadly for us, this statistic is higher than the state average of 71%. By your continued supporting us in this proclamation, it allows us as a community to continue getting the word out and bringing this important cause to the community's awareness, and thus reducing the rate of underage use, underage alcohol use. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone, and the other 2 young ladies want to say anything? Young ladies, yes, you too. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Perfect. See, there you go.
As a member of the recovery community, I'm really grateful for the awareness that this brings, and hopefully one day my children won't need recovery because of proclamations like this. Thank you.
Well, and thank you. I know I've met you before, and thank you for your inspiration, and I truly mean that. I know you and I had a conversation, and you know my story too with my sister. So, thank you for being here. I graduated high school in 1990, and I can remember being part of Students Against Drunk Driving. Back then, my dad was actually a county commissioner, and he had these talks with me, and I'm just like, Dad, whatever. Mothers Against Drunk Driving was just kind of maybe getting started back then, but I lost a classmate for drinking and driving, and it's just funny how now my son's 17, goes to River Ridge, and I'm having those same conversations, and he's probably saying, yeah, whatever, Dad, but he understands. I mean, he understands he's a role model to kids at River Ridge, and how important it is to obviously not drink at his age, but definitely not to drink and drive or allow others to do so. So thank you all for what you do, and it really is about having those conversations because they're not easy. And I know we all have kids, some younger, some older, but I know we've all had those conversations. So thank you very much. And if we can all go down and get a picture, please. Thank you.
Yep.
Ladies, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll run this end. This is fine.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
No, thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I don't know who's that is, but
Thank you so much.
Now, Resolution 4.
Is there anyone here representing community development? If you could come forward to the podium, please.
No room.
Most people. Is that yours?
Great. Thank you. Resolution number 19-146, whereas Pasco County's communities are the foundation for providing a high quality of life for its residents, and whereas Pasco County's Community Development Department has demonstrated a dedication to the revitalization of neighborhoods and production of affordable housing, and whereas the week of April 22nd to the 26th, 2019 has been designated as National Community Development Week by the National Community Development Association to celebrate the Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnerships Program. And whereas the CDBG program provides annual funding and flexibility to local communities like Pasco County to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing, a suitable living environment, and economic opportunities to low and moderate income people. And whereas the HOME program provides funding to local communities to create decent, safe, and affordable housing opportunities for low-income persons. And whereas over the past 5 years, our community has received a total of $13,184,112 in CDBG funds and $4,497,274 in home funds. And whereas the following significant accomplishments have been reported for this past year. Over 54,000 low-income individuals served with partner agencies in anti-crime and other related services with CDBG funds. 27 new single-family homes constructed with home funds. Almost 4,000 low-income persons received health care services and employment training with CDBG funds. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby proclaims the week of April 22nd to the 26th, 2019 as National Community Development Week in Pasco County and encourages all citizens of Pasco County to support community development activities this week and throughout the year. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move to approve?
Again.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I didn't
Motion
even know I was
passed.
supposed to wear red today.
You got the memo. Good afternoon. My name is Marcy Esberg. I am your Community Development Director, and we want to thank you for supporting the work that we do and making our communities a better place to live and work. In our department, we focus on 4 major areas. That is the work that we do with homeless initiatives, neighborhood revitalization, affordable housing, and community partnerships. Although there are many things that we could celebrate over the year, since we're talking basically this month, I want to recognize some of the things that these grants have done just in this month alone. Earlier this day, you approved a contract for funding for Vincent Academy, so shortly they'll be able to go vertical for their new building. Just last week, as a result of the Community Development Block Grant, the Lighthouse for the Blind moved into their new location. Earlier this month, we had the opportunity to recognize Volunteer Way as an agency of distinction for their work with CDBG and public services. And probably by June, we'll have 6 new permanent supportive housing units with Youth and Family Alternatives that has been using our home funds. So those are all really good things that we're doing just this month alone. So I want to thank Commissioner Starkey for sponsoring this, and all of the commissioners. Also thank County Administrator Biles and Assistant County Administrator Pearson for all of their support. But I'm asking you to join me in thanking the men and women that stand behind me, because every day they come to work with a passion to help low and moderate income families and individuals, and they don't often get a chance to be thanked. So join me in thanking them.
Okay, we're all going to come down and give you this wonderful resolution. Actually, do we have 2? And I just want to say, as I serve on the National Association of Counties Community, Workforce, and Economic Development Committee, I participate in national conference calls with the subject under each one of those sections during the year, and it's been a really interesting learning experience for me to see what's going on around the country. And I know we had a lot of staff come in on one of the calls when we talked about tiny homes, and I think we're going to be having some discussions about accessory dwelling units and other ways that we can help provide that range of housing that you spoke about, so that everyone can have an opportunity to live in a safe neighborhood. And I look forward to working with you guys more in the coming years. So let's all come on down.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe we should go back up. What do you think? We'll go back up? We're going to go back up and get behind you because there's so many people. So if you guys move back, we'll just be in that back row behind you all. But thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you all.
How are you doing?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I look forward to sitting down with you at some point, so. How are you? Good to see you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys trying to be tall or what?
You what? Did he say CDBG?
Need a ladder. All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Graduation.
Oh, my God.
What do you mean 5 and, you want to do 5 and 6 together?
Not together.
Hmm?
Right after one.
Without giving you my title over here. Okay. Now, Resolution 6.
Okay, is Audrey Canfora here? If you could come forward, please. Good afternoon. Resolution number 19148, whereas Audrey K. Canfora was hired March 13, 1989 as a deputy clerk for the Clerk of Circuit Court and County Controller, and whereas during her career with the Clerk and Controller, Ms. Canfora served as Record Specialist 2, Criminal Records Clerk, Reporting Technician, Lead Criminal Clerk, Senior Criminal Technician, and Records Clerk 4. And whereas Ms. Canfora readily shared her knowledge, skills, abilities, and expertise with everyone who needed assistance, and whereas Ms. Canfora's years of experience played a crucial role in the criminal department's successful transition to clericus, expertly managing pre- and post-go-live cleanup projects, and whereas Ms. Canfora was a critical resource in an audit of over 14,000 outstanding warrants prior to conversion to clericus, and whereas Audrey maintained the Change Linker report, which keeps the cases in clericus in sync with the Pasco County Sheriff's time served application, linking almost 10,000 charges since clericus go live. And whereas Audrey's attention to detail not only made her a tremendous resource for the criminal team, but the go-to person for FDLE, background checks, criminal case payoff statements, satisfaction of judgments, criminal indigent applications, and surprise cash audits. And whereas Audrey is known for her ability to find the answer to difficult questions, intrinsically understanding the history of criminal cases. And whereas Audrey's strange fondness of analyzing lines of data is just one of her interesting traits. She is an extrovert by nature, is always the life of the party, and a renowned practical joker with her leadership team as her loving target. And whereas Audrey's charming personality shined through during jury check-in and jury management, always leaving jurors with positivity and a smile on their faces. Whereas Audrey's dedication and dependability in the performance of her job duties made her a valuable asset to the clerk and controller. Whereas during her more than 30 years of service, Audrey diligently and conscientiously served the citizens of Pasco County and customers of the clerk and controller in her positions, ensuring integrity while providing outstanding service. And whereas as of April 30th, 2019, Ms. Canfora will retire from the office of the Clerk and Controller, and the Board of County Commissioners and the Clerk and Controller deem it appropriate to recognize her contributions to both the customers of the Clerk and Controller's office and the citizens of Pasco County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners, Pasco County, Florida, in session duly assembled, that said board hereby expresses its deepest appreciation to Audrey Canfora for more than 30 years of service to the citizens of Pasco County. Done and resolved in regular session with quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April, 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Audrey. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Thank you so much. You have done so much for us.
Yeah, they're leery of me back there. Yes, actually, first of all, I would like to say it's been a pleasure to work as a deputy clerk here in Pasco County under both Mr. Pittman and you, of course, Dr. Paul O'Neill. And I would like to let you know that it has been a wonderful opportunity. Sad to leave, but happy at the same time. So thank you very much. And I am eternally grateful for being here all these years.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
Well, I know that, thank you. Everyone's going to want to get up for the picture, so if you don't mind, we have the next resolution. If you don't mind, if you want to have a seat, we'll honor Pat, and then we will have pictures with everyone, if that's okay. Okay? Thank you.
All right.
So the next
Resolution
resolution is for Patricia Pamula. Could come forward. Thank you, Pat. Resolution 19147, whereas Patricia Pamula was hired October 14, 1987 as a deputy clerk for the Clerk of Circuit Court and County Controller. And whereas during her career with the Clerk and Controller, Ms. Pamela served as Record Specialist 2, Record Specialist 4, Cashier in the County Traffic Division. After a brief separation, she returned to the office in 1997 as a Domestic Relations Clerk, Child Support Enforcement Clerk, Trial Clerk, Lead Trial Clerk, Trial Specialist, Traffic Specialist, and currently Operations Lead. And whereas Ms. Pamela's proficiency and knowledge in the performance of her duties in each of these functional areas had a positive impact on the success of operations, and whereas Ms. Pamela is famous for her sense of humor, wit, and the need for morning coffee before actively engaging in social pleasantness. Whereas Pat has played an integral role in solving challenges for the team over her tenure of service, such as developing comprehensive schedules, writing and reviewing procedures, analyzing Florida statutes and rules of court changes for operational impact, assisting with complex case and customer situations, analyzing the large volumes of data. And whereas Pat is known for her ability to find historical information because she has maintained all emails, procedural updates, and bulletins she has ever received in her life, and is able to provide them on a moment's notice. Whereas Pat has been a tremendous support for her leadership team, readily sharing her knowledge, skills, and abilities, and whereas leading up to and during the criminal department's conversion to clericus, Pat worked tirelessly to test the application, update procedures for her division, verify data converted from the legacy mainframe system, and help prepare the peers and teammates for the biggest change to happen during their careers. And whereas the success of the criminal customer service team's conversion to clericus was in large part due to Ms. Pamela's dedication, persistence, and drive. And whereas Ms. Pamela is highly regarded by her coworkers as an excellent source of knowledge. She always provided her support, knowledge, and guidance while training or assisting teammates. She has built positive relationships with her teammates and justice partners and formed lasting relationships. And whereas her dedication and dependability in the performance of her jobs made her a valuable asset to the clerk and controller. Whereas during her more than 24 years of service, Ms. Pamela diligently and conscientiously served the citizens of Pasco County and customers of the clerk and controller in her positions, ensuring integrity while providing outstanding service. And whereas as of May 3rd, 2019, Ms. Pamela will retire from the office of the clerk and controller, and the Board of County Commissioners and the clerk and controller deem it appropriate to recognize her contributions to both the customers of the clerk and controller's office and the citizens of Pasco County. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners, Pasco County, Florida, in session duly assembled, that said board hereby expresses its deepest appreciation to Patricia Pamela for her more than 24 years of service to the citizens of Pasco County, done and resolved in regular session, with the quorum present and voting on this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Thank you.
Aye. Motion passed.
Congratulations, Pat. Thank you for all your service. Do you have anything to say?
I think I know why I'm so tired. I just want to thank you, and thank you for the acknowledgement. And many years ago, Barb Rulison, I'm sure you remember her, and she said, it's just a job. That's what she used to tell us. It's more than just a job. It's been in my life. And thank you very much.
And your life contributions, so thank you. Ladies and gentlemen on the board here, 54 years of service to our offices. They're retiring soon. So if you don't mind coming down to help acknowledge that, I appreciate it. Thank you. Veterans jury.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Would you like better janitor?
Just kidding.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I agree.
You can say her now if she's here.
I don't really have a choice.
That's
right.
Heavy equipment on her.
Yeah, we didn't get that for anybody else. You girls are special.
So congratulations. With you guys.
Carefully shaking hands.
Wow. Okay.
Watch out, we're more.
Between you guys?
That's what's most important.
For your families out? Okay, so.
Come on, team. Oh, wait. Aaron's got to do his thing.
You got another one, or is it?
We gotta go up top.
So if our team can come in, come on, team, and family members.
We'll go up
do
back.
that. That's why.
We'll go up back.
Okay. I'll come back down. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. I'll come back down after. Go ahead and go back there, because we're going to
Why don't you go tell her next to me?
Does that work? Go on back there, so.
Okay. Yeah. Next to me, Mr. Brown. Why do you think I'm standing here?
Well, we can say.
Tell her to go take a seat. You got it both right in the middle.
I know.
Oh, look at him. Wow.
Paul, is anybody working today? Anybody in your office?
Everybody's here. Hurry up so they can get back to work.
You gotta go to work.
Thank you. Thank you, Rudy.
We have insurance to cover that guy out there?
No.
We'll send-
Oh, his camera doesn't work?
We'll send you the bill.
Okay, are we ready?
We are.
Y'all are gonna need to squeeze.
Squeeze in.
Ready to smile for Grandma, buddy? Big smile, right?
Come on.
Charger.
1, 2, 3, and 2 more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Take one more. Let Mommy get in there. Hey.
Get closer. Get closer. Come on. Big smiles. Thanks for making me cry. Oh my goodness,
Good. All right, what else do I want in? All right. I want to do cry myself. As soon as you got up there, made everybody cry. She told me to tell her.
Condry. Sir. Over there.
Sir. And then we're going to do you. Okay, sir. And your husband.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a nice picture.
Where's your,
I didn't try. Just once, just one time. I know. Everybody else is up in Ohio.
You're gonna do it with yours? Yeah.
Come on, over here. Get everybody up. Thank you. Yeah, you guys get in the middle. I sit in the middle. Oh, yes.
Chairman, thank you for indulging us.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Here we go. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
She said, she keeps saying it, feels sorry for
Hold on,
her.
That would be worth it. You know what, Pogo stick? How much fun would you be at carnival, man?
Oh, I see.
All right. Resolution 8.
Okay, is anyone here representing jury? If you could come forward, please. Resolution number 19149, whereas the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution provides in part, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. The Seventh Amendment of the United States Constitution further provides in part, in suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and Article 1, Section 22 of the Florida Constitution provides, the right of trial by jury shall be secure to all and remain inviolate. And whereas in 1789, President Thomas Jefferson said, I consider trial by jury as the only anchor ever imagined by man by which a government can be held to the principles of its Constitution. And whereas the decisions made by juries affected a person's civil and property rights, the right to freedom and to life, and the rights come responsibilities, and whereas the justice system depends upon citizens to serve as jurors to protect rights and liberties afforded by the United States Constitution and the Florida Constitution, And whereas jury service is a duty of citizenship similar to paying taxes and voting, however, it is a small price to pay for privileges and freedoms. And whereas jury duty is one of the few activities in civic life that provides direct contact with the workings of democracy. And whereas a privilege to serve as a juror is a cornerstone of our democratic society wherein citizens are trusted to decide legal cases involving guilt or innocence or issues of liability and damages, thereby protecting justice and the fundamental checks and balance system. And whereas during 2018, over 35,300 jurors were summoned to appear, over 7,500 jurors appeared for jury service, and over 970 jurors were impaneled for 151 jury trials. And whereas an appreciation of dedicated citizens who serve as jurors for their patriotism to democracy and as partners in the justice system, the Clerk and Controller has established a system to provide cash compensation to eligible jurors on the days of their service. And whereas the Clerk and Controller has authorized, as authorized in 4024 Florida statutes, is providing an opportunity for jurors to donate their jury service compensation to Sunrise of Pasco County, Salvation Army Domestic Violence Program, or Guardian Ad Litem Foundation of Tampa Bay. And whereas through the established donation program, jurors have donated over $53,000 of jury service compensation to those not-for-profits. And whereas one of the most significant actions local government can take is to show appreciation for the trial by jury system and the Pasco County citizens who give their time to perform this civic duty. And whereas Juror Appreciation Month is a time to recognize and applaud the citizens of Pasco County who fulfill their civic duties by serving as a juror, which is an essential part of our justice system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, in regular session duly assembled, that said board hereby proclaims May 2019 as Juror Appreciation Month and thanks the citizens of Pasco for their jury service, which contributes to peace and justice in our community. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Edward Dwyer. I'm an operations supervisor over criminal courts at Pasco Clerk's office. This is my amazing colleague.
My name is Teresa Burgos.
And we just wanted to say thank you to the board today and Dr. O'Neill and the Pasco Clerk's office for honoring and recognizing the citizens and jurors of Pasco County for their outstanding service as jurors and potential jurors. We understand that the jury service is not always ideal for our individual schedules and life, and not all employers compensate jurors for their time. So we wanted to thank the citizens of Pasco County for their weekly and daily service that they provide to our county and our clerk's office and our judicial system. So I'm going to keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate all you do. We'll come down and get a photo real quick. Thank you.
I've never made it all the way to jury duty. I tried. But next time I'm not going to stare at the person and stare her down. Make her feel so guilty before the trial happens. Oh, I couldn't stop looking at her. No, and then I said, I wanted to.
I'm right between you.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay, that's.
There's an addendum.
The
Oh, it's an
addendum.
add-on?
Yeah, there was an add-on.
What's it called?
We did ours.
Okay, we got one more resolution, RS 1A.
Okay, is Marie Skelton here? If you could come forward, please.
Come stage center, please.
Resolution number 19153. Whereas Charles and Marie Skelton moved to Florida in 1995, they discovered at their first production in 1997 that the Richey Suncoast Theater was a diamond in the rough. And whereas Charles was elected president with the dedication of the community, they began to bring the theater back to its former glory. And whereas through the years, Charles and Marie Skelton added additional events, including the Black Maria Film Festival, the festival's only Florida location. They featured the first children's theater programs, with parents driving from as far away as Sarasota County and Citrus County in order for their children to participate. Entire families have performed together on stage, especially during the Christmas shows written by Charles and directed by Marie. And whereas Charles and Marie worked side by side at the theater until Charles' sudden death on July 4th, 2012. Through donations in his name, the lobby was renovated and dedicated in September of 2013. Marie continued to run the theater for an additional 7 years, initiating the Black Box Theater, which offers patrons an up-close and personal performance experience. And whereas, although Marie Skelton will be retiring, she will continue to serve as a board member. Her wish is for the theater to continue to prosper and grow for the entire community's enjoyment. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby commends Charles and Marie Skelton for their service to Pasco County and the greater Florida community, and urges all citizens to recognize their contributions to the community and to wish Marie Skelton health and happiness in her retirement. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And Mr. Chairman, I was very happy to bring this resolution forward for Marie. Charlie and Marie were really close as we moved down right around 95 as well, December 94 for myself. But we got involved in the theater. Charlie was just involved from the outside. Marie took care of all the running of the shows and all that going on. And I am guilty of the children's theater being such a great thing for my children. When Amber wanted to be on her first show and she did her tryout, and the two girls ran over and they sang happy birthday for their audition. And Lauren was holding on to Amber, kind of drew out the song, and I got home that night and I heard, Daddy, Daddy, we tried out for the theater, and a couple of nights later, Daddy, Daddy, they didn't pick me. And Amber says, oh, I'll try so hard, Dad. I'll do such a good job. I'll listen real good. I said, yeah, but you can't just do it there. You got to do it at home. And I will tell you, that life lesson of her getting responsibility for her actions every step of the way has just led her to just great things. And I attribute a lot of that to the theater. Had she not that ground faith of learning responsibility for herself and her actions, and then getting the stage presence to go up there in front of people, memorizing lines, behaving, I mean, I just can't tell you what it did for her. And then that first show, that spring, I wanted Lauren to get involved in the theater, because Lauren's a little bit shyer, and Lauren didn't want to do it, and I had to bribe her with the ballet lessons. But Marie says, I'll take her under my wing. And for what you did for the children, Marie, and it's not just my kids. I mean, I've seen it with the kids all over and over and over. The community can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. And I know Charlie was a huge loss, but for what you've done for the theater, carrying it on, I know it's going to carry on many good things. I see a lot of good thespians in the back with you here today. So I just want to thank you and for all the great work you've done.
So I just want to share this award with my board of directors, both present and past, all the patrons and our volunteers, because without them, there will be no theater. And I am confident that our theater will continue to prosper and grow in the future. And thank you very much for your acknowledgement. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to join us?
Yeah.
Susan, come on.
Oh, yeah, we need Susan? And the others. We have to bring the others up. Get everybody up here.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You guys want to come get in the picture?
Costumes, all the work.
You want to both get in the picture?
Yes, yes. We
We
want
can always
everybody.
send you a picture.
I want to see you up there, actually.
I did that last week.
No. Here, I'll get it.
Come on in here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we will proceed with the public hearings. P1 is continued. Do we have proof?
We do. We have proof of publication in the Tampa Bay Times, January 25th, 2019.
Okay. That's continued. We go to P2.
Got to make a motion to continue.
Move to
Do it.
continue?
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. P2.
P2 is advertised in the Tampa Bay Times, January 25th, 2019, and March 15th, 2019, along with affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
Continue.
Move to continue?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Motion passed.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Might I clarify that both of those continuances are for Long Lake Ranch, large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and a MPUD to May 7, 2019 at 1:30 in Dade City.
Okay.
Just for the record.
All right. Thank you. P3.
Advertised in the Tampa Bay Times, March 29th, 2019.
Move to continue May 22nd, 2019 at 1:30 before Richey.
Okay.
Did I get a second?
Yes.
I didn't hear it.
I
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. That's continued. P4, withdrawn. Do
So
not need-
P4 and P5 are both advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on March 1st, 2019.
Both were withdrawn. P4, P5, P6 withdrawn. You have proof on it, or you don't really have to have proof?
Hold on, Roy.
You don't have to. It's withdrawn.
I know, but for the record.
Yes.
All right, for the record, go ahead.
P6, Tampa Bay Times, March 1st, 2019. P7, Tampa Bay Times, January 25th, 2019.
Okay, both items are withdrawn. Now we start
So the
consent.
purpose of even having them on the agenda is to announce what they are and that they're being withdrawn. So in case there's public here that they know that the item is, there will be no further action. So if the planning director will go through what it is that are being withdrawn from the agenda, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nectarios Pitos, Planning Development Director. Item P4 was withdrawn, titled 3KS Family Limited Partnership. It was a change in zoning from AC Agricultural District to I2 General Industrial Park in central Pasco County on the south and west sides of State Road 52 and Bellamy Brothers Boulevard. Item P5 was the development agreement for 3KS Family Limited Partnership. Item P, so that is also withdrawn. P6 is a conditional use request that was withdrawn in the name of Robert C. Waldo and Nina D. Lewis Flea Market in an AC Agricultural District in northwest Pasco County at the northeast corner of Hudson Avenue and Edwards Road. And lastly, P7 is a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPL 1904, State Road 52 Industrial, large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use maps 215 and sheet 13, changing from EC Employment Center to IH Industrial Heavy on approximately 138 acres. Located on the corner of State Road 52 and west of Bellamy Brothers Boulevard. And that was withdrawn.
Okay. P8 is consent. You want to do procedures?
Sure. There are two rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there's no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual, or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning, may at this time request that the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearing. The law is in Florida. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, are you going to swear them in?
If anyone wishes to speak on any of those items, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay. Move on to P8.
P8, we do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, March 29th, 2019.
Okay. We have anyone signed up?
Mr. Chairman, if you can let the planning director announce what the item is and then move on to public.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item P8 is a zoning amendment in the name of New York Properties LLC. It's a change in zoning from AC Agricultural District to an RMH Mobile Home District located in northwest Pasco County on the south side of New York Avenue, approximately 250 feet west of Shadowwood Boulevard, extending southerly to Rhodes Road, containing approximately 9.5 acres. And this comes with a recommendation of approval.
Okay. I do not have a sign-up sheet. Is there anyone here to speak to this item or against this item? And leave it on consent. P9.
Tampa Bay Times, March 29th, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item P9 is a zoning amendment. Susan A. McManus Living Trust. It's a change in zoning from AR Agricultural Residential District to a PO1 Professional Office District, South Central Pasco County on the west side of Collier Parkway, approximately 300 feet south of Weeks Boulevard, extending west to Old Collier Road, containing approximately 5 acres. It comes to you with a recommendation for approval.
I don't have, no one signed up, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in against this item? Seeing none, leave it on consent. P10.
That was advertised in the Tampa Bay Times, March 29th, 2019.
Item P10 is a conditional use request in the name of Wireless Development LLC / APC Towers / T-Mobile, a 151-foot above-ground level monopole wireless communications facility in a C2 General Commercial District in southwest Pasco County on the west side of US Highway 19, approximately 500 feet south of Moog Road. This comes to you with a recommendation for approval with conditions.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak to this item, against this item? Seeing no one, leave it on consent. P11.
We do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, March 15th, 2019.
Item P11 is a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment in the name of CPAL 1807 Promenade Business Center. This is the transmittal of proposed large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 14, changing from TC Town Center and Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, to PD plan development on approximately 77.08 acres of real property located at the northeast and southeast corners of the intersection of Curly Road and Overpass Road, with associated sub-area policy flu 7.1.51 and an amendment to the future land use sub-area map 2-951. This comes with a recommendation of approval.
Is there anyone here to speak against this item? Seeing no one, leave it on consent. P12.
Now that, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We do have
I didn't
approved.
realize that they were putting street lights on consent.
12, Tampa Bay Times, April 10th, 2019.
Item P12 is a resolution to increase the annual streetlight assessment and upgrade to LED streetlights in the La Villa Gardens streetlight service area. Annual charges of about $18,952.80. The recommendation is to approve.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this item? Seeing no one, leave it on consent. Move to P13.
We do have proof. Tampa Bay Times, April 10th, 2019.
Item P13 is a resolution to increase the annual streetlight assessment and upgrade to LED streetlights in the Mill Run streetlight service area. Annual charges are at $9,385.20, and this also comes with a recommendation to approve.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this item? Seeing no one, leave it on consent. P14.
Item P4.
No,
Oops,
now you're at the end of the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. I got a motion second to move approval of consent items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. P14.
Tampa Bay Times, April 12th, 2019, and April 19th, 2019.
Good afternoon. Derek Berger, Real Property and Planning Division. The Real Property Planning Division received a petition to vacate a portion of a platted drainage and access easement in the Concord Station community. The vacation would not impact the side easement lot line, and it's for to install pavers for a new deck in this property. There was no objections from staff, and team does recommend approval.
Okay. Yours?
No, that's 4.
Is anyone here to speak for or against this item? Have no one signed
move
up?
for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Wow, what a weird day.
We have worked through all the public hearing items. Now, we'll move back to old business. We left off with Commissioner Mariano. Did you have some other items?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I was very excited to see the Special Olympics. I was going to wait a little bit, but I was trying to get a little extra pump up for the crowd that was here. I thought they'd appreciate it. What's that?
There's only 4 of us up here.
Yeah.
He wasn't here, so.
Anyway, so the Special Olympics did their presentation, and it with 7 million views. I mean, that's
They said they're up to 11 million.
11 million now? I mean, so I don't care whether the money comes out of general or just waive it, or even just reimburse from tourist development, but I'd like to see the fees waived and cut the price down in half for all those participants, as well as Commissioner Starkey recommended.
But I think we do need a policy because, Jack, I know you, and you're very passionate, and every 501c3 that comes to you that wants to go in the park. Of course, I'm getting ready to ask for us to waive something for 501c3. However.
You're passionate, too. I mean, you're getting awards over here, you know.
That's how we're funding that park. So I think this is a good compromise to just have them buy an annual fee, a year fee, and then they can use that more, and so.
Well, I think we're getting money from tourist development, aren't we?
No.
No?
Not for training.
Not
I mean,
for
I think
training,
if
but
they-
for
I
the
think
event.
If they have an event that has room nights associated with it and they have a marketing plan for the area, yes. But off the top of my head, I don't know if they have.
What's the question? I can answer it.
The Special Olympics,
Yeah.
if they had a TDC agreement, but I think that would be
They
for
don't
their
come from the
event.
TDC 'cause it's a local event.
Yeah, so
It's just the students in Pasco County that.
yeah, so that would not have tourist development
Each
money,
county
so-
has their own
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, if we had a
Application process to fill out where you can still get some money from TDC even though it's local.
No, and not if they don't bring any room
If
nights.
they don't bring in room
But there
nights.
is, there's a separate application.
It's for marketing. There's one for marketing.
If it was a regional or a state event,
Yes. You have to attract people from
not
outside
just a
the
local
area.
event.
Chair's not here, so Commissioner Moore.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to think this through a little bit. And when is the event? When is the event?
It's coming up in here in June.
In June. Because, you know, who can apply for the 50% fee reduction? And are they going to supply us a list of parents? I mean, I know, you know, my daughter was involved with Special Olympics when she was at River Ridge. So is it going to be the high school kids too that may get involved with it? So I think we just need a little more understanding of what and who is on that list that would get a fee reduction. So how about, since there's time, how about if you guys have a meeting, figure out what that looks like first?
Initially, if I'm not correct, you were asking for the participants of the Special Olympics on certain days to be able to get in the park. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, just to make sure we're on the same page. So initially, then we started talking about passes and things like that. So initially, it was 8 days or 6 days. You just wanted them to be able to come in the door and not pay a fee to train, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
okay.
let me say this. I think down the road, when we look at getting a restaurant coming into the RFP, the restaurateur is probably going to be able to pick up all the expenses coming through here and go, but this is just a restaurateur, if they have a restaurant there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're going to want people just coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll work out something down the road for that. But I think just for this one time, I won't bring up another one through the summer if everybody wants to stick to the same thing as far as, you know, for a Special Olympics, but I think just to let them do it for their event, for training, I don't think it's a big deal.
Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator, Public Services. Already sent an email out to Keith Wiley, Parks Director. Let us come back at the next meeting with some options for you, and we'll have a plan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I wouldn't mind. I'll donate if I need to have the parking personally.
Yeah.
All right, so we get time. And I'll tell you, if someone watching this broadcast may do the same thing, so, okay. Next thing, a while ago, I had talked about a ordinance as far as having tarps on houses that stay for an extended period of time, and staff was struggling with it. We've got a tarp on Regency Park Boulevard, connects with Ivanhoe. I brought this up probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It is still there. I had another gentleman call me about another one, and he brought up a really good point. He said, you know, how do you know if there's not black mold growing into that roof that has a tarp on it that has damage in it? It could be a health hazard. So if you think that, there's a picture of the thing on the screen, for 4 years, over 4 years, been sitting on there. We went out and tried to help those folks, try to work to get them money, and they still didn't want to come to the table to work on it. I think it's something that could be a health hazard. I mean, think about all the water that could be getting in there. It blows off and moved in. You get black mold that's going on. I think we need to fix this issue and bring something back quickly, and maybe that's even enough at 4 years' worth to say, you know what, we need to look and see if there is black mold, or we may have to condemn the home. I mean, someone could be dying in there. And if you look around it, look at the other pictures of the homes right beside it. Look at how great those homes are right beside it in that area. These people are trying to keep the neighborhood up, and they got to live next to that. It's just not right.
And I believe staff was out there at that house last week, and they did find that it was leaking. The code, you'd have to check with Pat or have Amanda.
We've had code out there, and I know Kathy and her team tried to work out there. Kim was out there trying to talk to the lady about trying to get her some funding, but they just blocked us. At this point, though, maybe, I don't know if Don wanted to say something?
Yeah, so Commissioners, let us take a look and see what's going on. We'll get back with you. I'm surprised the code isn't on that, but we'll figure out what's going on.
Okay, and for that, if we can, I'm going to make a motion that we try to find an ordinance, bring an ordinance back to take care of any homes that have a tarp on the roof for more than 3 months. That's a motion.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Do you need a motion?
I need a motion, because I want any unclarity about this. I'm making a motion, because I want this done and brought back to us.
Well, the only, Chairman?
Unless there's a
Yes.
big event.
The only thing, and I just know from somebody in Port Richey that was across from Corman's, they had the cover on there for like because it was with FEMA during the storm, and they had to leave it on there because they were waiting to get reimbursed. They didn't have the money to put it out. So that, I would say, I agree with you, absolutely. Maybe 3 months at the number, maybe it's 6.
Maybe it's 6.
But I just know it does take time for the insurance companies to get out there, but this one's ridiculous. I mean, 3 years is ridiculous. Yeah. Again, I don't know legally.
So I'll leave my term out of it and just say that we bring it back an ordinance to address tarp roofs.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Don Rosenthal, do we have an address for this, or does code already aware?
Code's aware, but I'll give you the address, 7141 Ivanhoe Road. Memorized.
you drive by it every day going.
And then, yes. Well, it's good stuff. The city of Port Richey, this last storm going through, I mean, I'll say Hurricane Michael, we went out to Chris Drive, we cleaned that edge out for the outfall that was going through. That was very important. And for the first time, I think, in many years, Sun Lake didn't flood out. There's a picture of the canals that's Chris Drive itself from the east side. That's a lot of stormwater storage that could be used. It's a direct outfall into the Gulf. And, you know, in a series of Facebook posts after my last comments about Port Richey at the last meeting, there was a lot of talk about what's going on out there. And we talked about Chris Drive. And there's a lady that lives above it that says, you know what, the outfall from the same thing affects us as well. You should look at that one. I went on and actually walked it, and the canal to the north, just south of Bay Boulevard, has an issue as well. This is Quist Drive that's down below it. The one below it and the one below that all have issues as far as getting water to flow out and all connect to the Gulf. And the one down at Gill Dogs also connects. What I'd like to do is put a plan together, and I've talked to the head of DEP in Swiftmud, and they both said, Jack, if you can bring us a plan together, we can take a look at it and try to work on helping you get funding and move monies around to try to make this work. The Gill Dog Canal is the next canal approved by the Restore Act Committee through the city of Port Richey. We can probably, as we talked about, trying to leverage money wherever we can. We might be able to get some good leverage monies on different sources, including that pot of money, to try to get this thing funded. So I met with staff this morning. We looked over it. They're actually trying to put some things together. I'm going to go to the Port Richey meeting tonight to try to talk to them, providing they have one, and try to bring this idea forward. And I'd like to have staff bring something back to us with a plan that we can actually take a look at and try to get the help from the from Swiftmud and DEP.
And Chairman? Yes. I agree. I agree with you, Commissioner. But keep in mind, we've got our own canals like this too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can think of that neighborhood, Bailey's Bluff neighborhood next to the park. I agree, but I'm just keep in mind we have our own that we've been talking about trying to fix and get funding for. So we're just trying to reprioritize some of the funding they already have and the way it's going to be done. I know Gill Dogs Canal is supposed to be next, and this is what, 2 down, I believe, to the north of it.
Yes, and that's the thing. The difference of this one here, this controls all the water flowing from Port Richey that comes over from the south of Ridge Road that we know we have some issues with. This whole outflow connects everything in there, so everything affects the county is affecting this. Because this connects from that outfall, and this is one of the major outfalls on the coast, is why I think this is different than a lot of the other ones. But it is one that we can get started with. And having Port Richey, where they couldn't come up with $4,200, 6 months ago, this is money they have from Restore Act money that we can use for a match with our own that we already have in there and try to get the state help.
See, and the big thing is the capacity of the pipes going under Old Post, whatever that road is there, going to Hooters. That's the issue, is the capacity. And then you got the tidal flow, which it just happens these storms hit us on full moon or new moon, and the tides are so high. That's why we get the backup. Again, I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of the ones we've been talking about.
I'm narrowly focused on this here because of this, and knowing the effect that we had when we cleaned that out, that water could get out there. You can see it's still a little peninsula where it can slide out to the side. But if it can quickly flow out and the others have more capacity, it'll make it a lot quicker and better for everybody else around us. Because the low tide, the water's got to get out.
Well, I know we're looking at the additional pipes we found on the Ridge Road, looking at trying to get...
different project, but yeah.
But it still goes into Francis Warner Park. That's a huge outflow, probably bigger than this. But again, I just want to make sure.
No, I'm not
I don't disagree, and you can see how bad it is, but I just know we have our own too, so.
Yes, and believe me, I'm
We're
a
a
big believer in the
team.
dredging.
I mean, we want to help the city. I mean, absolutely, but, so, okay.
All right, and lastly, staff is working with Habitat for Humanity right now as far as permitting. I'd like to see them, if they can, make sure all those permits move quickly. We're going to work on opportunity zones to try to get help with the pipes that need to be put in place to give them sewer lines. And one thing that's been going on since October of last year, as they've been tearing down homes, they've built up a bill for paying our solid waste. This would be a solid waste reimbursement, but the bill come out to $1689.45. In the future, I think that we'll be getting them through CDBG and they'll be able to fund themselves all the way through. They have paid the bill. I told them, I asked to see if they could get reimbursed. So it's up to the board. The bill was $1689.45, and that was for about 8 different trailers that they tore down and ripped out of there.
What are you asking?
to reimburse the general fund for solid waste for buildings for tipping fees of $1689.45. That's to take down the trailers they took home.
Habitat's already paid those, correct?
Habitat's paid it. We
So
just
you're
wanted-
asking us
So as to reimburse Habitat.
to
Okay.
take general fund money and write a check to Habitat to reimburse them for their tipping fees out of the solid waste landfill.
Yes, because they have paid it.
What happened with that money that we loaned them?
They bought 51 properties out there and in the process of tearing them down. If we don't want to do it, that's fine. We can work on CDBG reimbursement, but I did tell them I'd bring it forward to ask them.
I would like to see if we can get CDBG first personally, and then.
We'll
'cause
try
I
to help
think
them down the
they're
road.
probably gonna be
Okay. We can help them with CDBG money down the road, but I told
Reach out
them to bring
and
it
do that
forward.
first.
Okay. No worries. Thank you very much. That's it.
Mr. Miles?
All right, I had a few things. First, start with, so the U.S. Census released their 2018 estimates for counties last week. July 1 is the date for 2018, and Pasco jumped by almost 15,000 people between July 1, 2017 and July 1, 2018. So we're, as you're talking now, almost 540,000 people. 539, 640 is their estimate. At that rate, the 2020 census, we should be about 560 to 570 population in 2020. Just for perspective, that's 40 people a day, about 15 families a day. And at the permitted rate, what we permitted last year, we only permitted about 10 homes a day. So we're actually not building homes fast enough to house the people that move into Pasco County based on our current permitting rates. So just a little perspective, that number came out last month, or last week, figured y'all wanted y'all to hear.
How does that fit into the, as far as, fastest growing county in the state?
So, from a pure raw number perspective, it's 9th in the state. From a percentage perspective, it's 9th in the state, but the counties above us are different.
Yeah.
The ones from a raw number perspective are actually the larger counties. From a percentage, there are smaller counties except for one. Polk County is above us in both percentages. So they're really the only urban county above us in the percent growth, right? We were 2.8%.
So we're second in percent?
From
As a
if you
percentage
just
of
looked at the large urban counties. If you look at all 67 counties, we're 9th.
Okay.
So, but if you're at 30,000 and you grow by 3,000, that's a 10% growth, but that's not
Yeah.
so it's all relative. So just wanted you to have that number and know, that what you're seeing is real. And that even though we permitted 3,600 homes last year, or just shy of that, that's less than what the demand was between those two.
Those
two
people
days.
stay in, are they renting instead of?
Well, I don't
buying a
know.
home?
I'm just telling you what the numbers are. I don't,
way
I
to
mean,
tell.
it's either existing stock that took up the slack or some of the multifamily that came online over the last 12 to 18 months. So, but, existing home sales are really old for old. I mean, you're not adding to your inventory. So anyway, just wanted to kind of give you perspective on that. A couple of other things, as we are moving forward with designs for both the park general obligation bond stuff and the libraries. The libraries, both Centennial Park and New River Branch should be out on the street later this fall, and actually should be finished up renovation sometime in late spring next year in those first two libraries. From a parks perspective, Burks Park, the design's begun on that area, working with the local leagues and the architect. And the Cruise Lake Tower has been removed, and the work's going on to replace the pier out there. One other thing, Animal Services had a shelter assessment by the Best Friends of Animals Society, a pretty large advocacy group for animals. And their assessment team was so impressed with our shelter, they recommended us to their National Training Academy to be one of their Training Academy partner sites to hold instruction for other shelter members from across the country. And we are the only municipal shelter to have ever been recommended for that. Wow. So that's a huge thing for our animal services group. So just a few good news items. We will. Yeah. So there's another, now the training center has to come in and visit, so there's another process they have to go through. But a lot of good stuff going on in the county, and so I figured you'd like to hear that, and that's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Steinstein?
I don't have anything right now.
You have a lot, you just got to present it.
I think I will schedule individual briefings with you on ordinance development, rather than taking up your time right now.
That'll work.
Makes sense.
We like you a lot, but usually when you say something, it means there's going to be a litigation assessment meeting. And we have to come in. You know, so when you say you don't have anything,
It's a good thing.
Yeah. That's right. Madam Clerk?
All is well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have 2 items. One is, when I was heading,
Before me or after me?
She already hit her max, sir. Chairman, she hit her max.
she hit her max, how many hours you want? All right, go ahead before me and I'll finish.
So 2 things.
Got 2
I
seconds.
forgot to read this, even though it was highlighted in yellow. So the Commission on the Status of Women's May monthly meeting is on May 6th at 2:30 p.m. at the Land O'Lakes Library, which is where they're holding all their meetings now. It used to be at the Utilities Building. This meeting is their final community resource presentation, and it's on safety and access. The guest speakers include members of the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, Sunrise of Pasco, and the Homeless Coalition of Pasco. And so they meet there on the first Monday of every month, and they meet at 2:30. And the public is invited and welcome to come to these meetings. So we wanted you to know that. The second thing is, a couple weeks ago, I was approached by Patty Templeton from One Community Now. If you guys know the good work that they're doing, it's a group of churches and other nonprofits that have come together to help the community in the Holiday Lakes area, and they sponsor after-school sports programs for the local kids, because those kids can't afford to play in the leagues. And one of the cool things they're doing is they're in the Holiday Lakes Community Center teaching financial literacy and other things to the residents. And they applied for a CDBG. It was a CDBG grant 2 years ago, I think, to remodel their clubhouse because it was falling apart. And as you've seen, many of those older communities in Holiday, just like in Kelly Miller's community, how Kelly lost her clubhouse was their hood was out of, it was an old hood in the kitchen, and I think they needed, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 to change their hood, and they ended up having to sell their clubhouse. So we've helped a couple of the clubhouses in these older communities, and what's going on with the Holiday Lakes is that they received a grant to help fix the roof that was leaking, I think pave the parking lot, and do a few other things. But when the community development got in there and our inspectors went in, they found a lot of violations in the building. So the way the community pays for the taxes on that building and the annual fees is by renting it out to their community for, weddings or parties, whatever. And while this renovation has been going on, and it's been going on a lot longer than anyone thought, they have not been able to rent it out. So they just got a bill, on their annual tax bill. They got an assessment of $1,800, which is the utilities portion, because as a 501c3, they don't pay proper taxes. But they don't have any income to pay that $1,800. And so they have asked me for help, and I'm talked to the administrator, and the only way we can help them to not lose their clubhouse over $1,800 is to, because we cannot waive enterprise funds, to see if we could cover that for this year while they are under renovation by our community development group. And then when they'll get back open, and then they can rent it out again, and then they'll get the income to pay their bill next year. So I'm asking if for one time that we could help them out by covering the cost of the utilities fees, which is $1,800.
Well, yeah, just a hair over $1,800. I don't know the exact number. It's like 1,802 or.
That's one
Mr.
question.
Moore?
How about we loan it to them and they reimburse us once they start making an income? Because again, going back to the thing that we talked about before, possibly, of
I think that would be okay, but
brothers.
But we would.
Similar to what we did for, say, for Habitat. It was a loan. They paid it
Yeah,
back after.
no, they have not paid it back.
No, they haven't paid it. No, they just.
They
had
will
this
be.
happen. They haven't paid
They
it
will
back
be.
yet, but.
But no, I think the community would be okay with that. I just don't, it's going to take them some time. I don't know what their annual amount is that they raise from renting it out, but
Why don't we reach out to them and see if that's a possibility?
yeah, I'll text them right now, and then I'll let you know as soon as it comes
Think,
back. Did you want to say anything more?
Well, I think the only challenge is it's due at the end of the month. Is that right? Like their assessment's due at the end of April.
Yeah, they don't have a penny. One of the things they're going to be doing is and it's going to be coming through here, is they're going to be letting residents park their commercial vehicles in their parking lot. But we have to change the zoning on it to allow that, and that's another way they're going to earn a little bit of money. Let's see. So I'll text her while you're doing yours, and we'll see if we can get an answer.
All right, I have two things. As I was driving over here today, I left I-75 heading west and noticed that from I-75 to Bellamy is open. 2 lanes going west, 2 lanes coming east. I didn't realize they were open until today. I hadn't been that way.
275 or 52?
52 from I-75 across to Bellamy is open, and traffic was moving very nicely right there. Now, the only problem we have is we got a point from that Bellamy to 41 that is still 2-lane and will be until it's funded. So hopefully some near future we'll get the funding for that and be able to 4-lane that the rest of the way to 41. So it'll be good. Second thing is I rode with City Manager Steve Spina, his assistant Billy Poe, and Councilman Lance Smith this past week. Margaret set up with DOT that I could go ride 56 Extension and see that highway, and coming very well, and looks like to me could be July, August for the completion, even though the company has till end of September to complete that section. But if you go down that road, and as soon as it opens, if you can ride that road sometime and just notice the view, you'll see land that no one has been able to see because there was no road there before. That's land back. It's old Florida. There's a windmill, a big tank for the cattle and things of that nature, and some creeks that go across that road. And actually, it goes down to Marsh Bridge, across the Marsh Bridge, goes on the 301. But a very beautiful highway that in the future is going to change because there's going to be development out that way.
And hopefully a nice trail on the side of it.
And there is a trail.
That's not smashed up against the road.
It's already there.
It's right there.
Is it meandering?
Meandering, it's going alongside the road.
Sidewalk. Is it an engineer's wide sidewalk?
But it's 10 foot wide.
I don't think engineers use trails. I'm
Trail on
telling you
one
that.
side and a sidewalk on the other.
A sidewalk on the,
Sidewalk on one and a trail in there.
yeah, sidewalk on the north
Further
side.
than this far from the highway.
Yeah, there's a decent
Yeah.
amount of right of way that's pretty good size, yeah.
Pretty good size.
I tried to organize those landowners and.
But it's good, so, and it looks good, but it's really a pretty scene to go through there now and see that, so. But that's progress, that's what's gonna happen, and one day 54, that congestion you got there, when 56 opens up, 54 is gonna lighten up, because they're gonna use that road, so. There's a lot of good things happening on the east side of the county, so. With that, that's all I have. Do you have an answer?
Well, what she said was, she said, but they have no income to pay it back, and I'm saying, well, in the future.
And what group is that?
And no
now?
interest.
What group is that?
Well, this is,
Hills.
it's
Civic
Holiday Lakes, and,
And it's $1,800 is the issue?
okay, here's what they said. I don't think the board would be willing to take on the debt if it fell on them personally, since most of them barely can pay their own bills, so.
What does that have nothing to do with if it's?
They don't have a, it's a voluntary civic association, so who would,
How are they gonna build the?
So they don't pay any membership dues or anything?
It's voluntary.
But how they, I'm just curious. And
Yeah, I just don't think she understands.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because how they gonna pay it next year? If they're just.
They're not going to.
No, the group that's putting that together, with help from One Community Now, is, they collect the money from the rental fees, so I'm going to go back and try it again.
Maybe bring it back next.
Bring it back next month in between now and then.
Okay, what are
if
we
you
going to
will-
do? Because they'll be in default. So
When?
what happens?
When will they be in default?
Because the bill is due.
When's it due, though?
It's your money.
True, but I don't believe we collected, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure what
the
the
So what happens
tax
to them
process
if-
is.
The tax collector collects that.
So what happens? Do they have to pay late fees
It's on their
or?
tax bill. Oh, it's their.
Oh, it's on their tax bill?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're going to lose,
It's a
you know,
streetlight assessment and a
they're gonna lose
stormwater
their building.
assessment.
I don't know if we can can you even legally do that if it's part of their tax bill? I mean, that's.
You can't waive it.
Yeah, we can't waive it.
Somebody
I'm
has to
not
pay
saying
it.
waive it.
I say loan it to them like we did Habitat.
Yeah,
Well-
come on, guys.
Are you,
That's what we said. We said loan it to them, man.
are you dealing with a 501c3? Are you dealing with any kind of a legal entity? You said it's a voluntary association,
Sounds
which,
like it's not.
Well, you've got one community now, which is a voluntary, it's a 501c3 that is helping the community.
Okay.
It is the community's civic building that they're holding on to by the skin of their teeth. And that is why they went for a CDBG grant to fix the roof that was leaking. Were you involved in it at all? And they've had nothing but trouble with, the community development group doesn't do this very often, do they? Do they manage their own projects? There's been problems with the roof bid. It's been one delay after the other, which is why they were told to vacate it early, long before the work started, and so they lost, we're partly to blame for why they have, well, we're very much to blame for why they have no rental income. So go ahead, Kathy.
So yes, so the Holiday Civic Association did receive about $200,000 from CDBG to renovate the Civic Association, in which one community now goes in and does a lot of their things for them. Yes, there were problems. Yes, we had, when they get into the building, it was a lot more work than they thought. We are going to be putting more money into the building, which will be coming back to you very shortly, probably another $100,000 of more CDBG money to put into it. So yes, there were some issues. Yes, we ran into more building construction and inspections, not anything to say bad about the inspection.
Right.
It is what it is. Old building, a lot of things were done illegally in the building, so we're here to fix that. So they are going to be getting about a $350,000 renovation job on that building when it is done. So as far as the $1,800 assessment that's on their taxes, CDBG cannot pay for those, and so we are not allowed to use CDBG funding for that.
So how long did the community development tell them they were going to be out of their building? What did they anticipate at the beginning?
I don't know.
Yeah, so
Michelle,
it was not very long.
when they told them. I just know when there's a construction that goes on, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
So I don't know the exact terms of when they told them they were going to be in or out.
So it was going to be months, and now it's over a year. So, and with no end in sight yet. The fire marshal found a few things in there that have to be fixed. So I'm just going to ask if we could go ahead and pay their fees and work. I will work on a repayment plan with them. But it's silly for us to put all this money into a building that they're going to lose.
The money they're getting, the $300,000 or so to fix that building, who pays that back?
Community Development Block Grants.
The feds,
That's-
that'll be
Yes.
paid for?
That is going to be paid for.
Okay.
And even the extra funds that's going to be needed, we will find the funds to fix all that. So there's not an issue with the construction. It'll get done.
Okay.
We'll work together and
So
get that
that's not
done.
an issue, but
That
the
is not the issue.
1,800 is- What is the 1,800?
It's for their tax
No,
bill.
it's
They have
not,
a
it's
se-
not taxes.
Well, their assessments
It
on
is
their tax
the
bill.
waste and,
It's streetlights and stormwater.
Stormwater. It's on their.
Yeah, I got it.
They don't
right.
pay property
Don't
taxes
pay
because they're a
property taxes,
not-for-profit.
So they're
but
tax
they-
exempt.
They are not.
They're tax exempt, so they don't pay property
So
taxes.
if we pay that now, what happens next year?
I don't know,
no,
sir.
well, next year, so they have paid those bills every year by renting out the building to members in their community.
Because it's closed, they don't rent it
But
out, so
because
get the
they
mo-
have run into all these construction problems and the delays with the community development and our building inspectors who found issues inside that they weren't working on. I mean, they're making them take off the wood paneling inside. Somehow to get to an exit door, the way they have it, you're going through like a storage closet. So they have these things that have delayed everything and have had them to have the hall closed for months longer than they anticipated. And they have had no income since March of 2018 to pay for, that they used to pay these bills.
Can I ask you one question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So what were their, when they were open, what did they estimate their revenue was for rental fees and stuff?
I don't know.
Well,
But
the
I just
reason
know
I
they've
ask-
never had a problem paying their bills before.
That's why I'm asking, because they're saying they'll be able to pay it next year, so I don't see why there'd be a problem with just them saying, okay, you're being kind enough to loan us the money, we'll repay it out of those fees.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to pay it back in 1 year. I mean, I think it's going to take a couple
I
years.
mean, that's, come with a plan. We'll loan them that,
The
and
problem
we'll
is,
repay it back.
the bill is due. So,
When's the bill due?
you know, this is like Lakuchi, I'm sorry, or Trilby, or, I mean, the Holiday Lakes, I mean, some of it's not that bad, but I'm telling you, some of it's not a wealthy neighborhood, and they're just trying to hang on to their clubhouse.
When is this bill due?
I think, I'm not sure.
End of this month?
May,
I don't
whatever.
know.
Yeah, I think it's the end of this month, but I'm
I
not
think it's the end of
positive.
April. It's
Okay,
what, in
so-
10 days?
So if I can come up with some people with donations to pay that bill off, they'll be okay by the end of the month?
She said, okay, if they can just have more time to pay it and pay it in installments, since the tax collector's office won't allow that. The 2020 taxes will be due next spring, and if the building isn't complete, they will have to be paying that all at once, so they wouldn't be able to pay 2 years of taxes all at once. Can they spread this payback over a few years?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Fine.
We're gonna do it at the county, or you want me to get it done outside?
Oh, I think
That's all your decisions.
your decision, Commissioner.
So why don't we go ahead and loan them the money, and if we raise some money, we can help them retire that debt,
Okay,
About
we can
that.
do that. Is that all right?
because I'll contribute as well.
Would that come out of general fund?
Yeah,
It's
well,
gonna have
it would
to.
So I move that we take $1,800 out of the general fund to pay the fees to the utilities department.
The tax bill.
The tax bill.
Well, what their assessments are, because it's
And
not
then-
exactly $1,800.
Repayment
It's-
plan over a
And,
certain
and
amount of
we will
years.
work with them on a repayment plan. At the worst, at the best, we find a way to cover that privately.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
I got a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Hearing nothing, meeting's adjourned.